lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you've never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, everybody, we are back. Welcome to episode number 309 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, April the 18th, 2026. My name is Jeremy Lee. A few announcements before we get into the show. I'd like to let everybody know there will be no Fanatics Collect weekly auction ending watch party here on the channel tomorrow night. I have some other plans, so can't be doing it tomorrow night, but we'll be back the week after. Leighton Sheldon is always buying collections. Leighton at justcollect.com. You all know him from the show. He will be back next week as well. His other company, auctionwire.ai, now a proud sponsor here of the show. Use promo code SCL for 60 days of free trial. Guys, Mint Inc. delivers the ultimate hobby experience from live whatnot streams and auctions to grading breaks to retail stores in the greater Toronto area. They do it all. They're buying collections 7 days a week. Click the link in the description below and use promo code SCL5 for 5% off your first purchase. Shop online anytime with worldwide shipping. Mint Inc., where collecting comes to life. And the Front Row Card Show is in San Diego, April 25th and 26th with 425 tables. Visit frontrowcardshow.com for more show dates and locations. Guys, grading is expensive. It ties up your time, your money, your assets. Get it right with Mr. Minty, offering a full line of 100% substance-free pre-grading supplies, grade preparation, valuation services, concierge drop-off and pickup for PSA and BGS, all designed to help collectors save time and money in the expensive grading process. Meet Mr. Minty in person at the London show this weekend, happening right now, April 17th to 19th. For more, go to mrminty.com. Save 25% off products using promo code SCL25. Happy collecting and keep it minty. And guys, check out Chronosio, AI-powered collection assistant that allows boxes and boxes of cards to be scanned, documented, and listed for sale in just minutes. It works with sports cards, TCG cards, slabs, and raw cardboard. 2 bundles are available on Walmart.com, eBay, and Amazon, as well as certain hobby stores. The Cash to Cards bundle not only includes a scanner, software, and supplies, but a 1-hour, one-on-one enablement session at the time of your choosing. Simply visit chronosio.com/booking. It's a huge part of the value. Not only does Chronosio work with you to get up and running, but they're always there to help people manage their cards and sell online. Whether you're a collector or a hobby store looking to expand your business, go to chronosio.com to learn more. That's Chronosio with a K. And visit Collector Investor Auctions, guys, to register and bid for their upcoming auctions. Next one will be in May. And if you would like to sell cards on eBay but want to skip the hassle, message me on Instagram or email me, jeremy@slabsharks.com, and I can help you consign your cards for sale with Slab Sharks. This episode is also brought to you by Upper Deck, Sport Card Expo, Inferno Red Technologies, ComC, and Card Ladder, where we have an affiliate link in the description below. Also, this episode is available. All these episodes are available on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow for free. And if you're enjoying the content, even if you're not, please leave a rating or review. It does help. And as always, a huge thanks to our loyal viewers and podcast listeners. If you haven't already, take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Your comments and questions are in play. Let's get to it and bring out everybody's new hobby content favorite guy, Mr. David Chase. What is up, buddy? Welcome back. How we doing today, bud?
What's going on, Jeremy Lee? My favorite person. I know you always do my little head situation. I always, when I hear your name, by the way, I think of the Pearl Jam song, Jeremy Spoke. How much was that? How many times did people sing that to you in the early 90s? Was that like all the time?
I was semi-famous because of that song in the early mid 90s. It's like, oh, your name's Jeremy? Oh, hey, Pearl Jam. I'm like, yeah, they wrote it after me. Right. You know, I'd say 1 in 5 people believed me. The rest knew I was full of it. But yeah, you know, and the ones that believed me, as soon as they believed me, I'd kind of lose instant respect for them. Because what do you believe in me on that for? You know, it doesn't make any sense. But yes, I think of it too.
You at least had a cool song. People would sing me Davy Crockett, you know, growing up. So yours is way cooler than mine.
Way better. Way better. Way better. Guys, feel free, if you have not yet, to pick up your copy of my book, Pops and Comps. Had a really nice review of that on the Fanatics premiere show on Thursday with Adam Gray. We had a great show. That went for about 5.5 hours on Thursday night. Also, if you've not yet followed my new Instagram account, jlee_cards, check that out. Got about, 15 or so posts on there. Thank everybody who's followed so far. Oh, I want to shout out my friend Chris, who has a supply company called Defend Pro. He sent me some of his some sleeves, and they're my favorite sleeves. They are the clearest sleeves I have ever seen and used. So check out Defend Pro. He owns a card shop in Niagara, right? By Niagara Falls. It's called Dolly's. Great guy. I've known him for a few years through the Sport Card Expo. And I want to thank Chris for sending me some of his wonderful sleeves, both for like cards and BGS slabs, PSA slabs, that kind of thing. It's Defend Pro. So thank you to Chris for that, for sure. And then, guys, we have the Sport Card Expo is right around the corner. So, David, tomorrow I will be set up at a one-day local show here, the Stampede City Card Show here in Calgary. If anyone's around, you want to come, check it out. 00 Cards guy is going to be helping me out at the booth. You know him from the chat here. And then we have the Sport Card Expo coming up April 30th to May 3rd. Obviously, I will be set up there. I can't wait. I'm moving one aisle over, 2 booths this time. It's going to be awesome. Some special guests hanging out at the booth with me. So looking forward to that. And then I'm going to go to my first Calgary Comic-Con next weekend. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Never been to it before, even though it's in my town. It's a big Comic-Con here. And I know that Mint Inc. is going to be there as well. Channel sponsor Mint Inc. will be there. So I'm looking forward to seeing them at that show. So if anyone's going to the Calgary Comic-Con, hit me up. We can perhaps just meet up and check out that environment together, because I haven't been there. But David, we got some fun topics tonight. We got Darren, Return to Collecting, will be joining us in about 20 minutes.
I love Darren.
Yeah, what a great guy. I'm excited to have Darren on. And then we're going to have Joe Perreault join us at the halfway mark. Josh Adams will join us for the last hour. Chris McGill likely unable to join, but let's see what happens towards the end if he can make it happen. But we'll have Joe, and maybe David will come back on at the end again. So we will see. But before we get into conversations here, David, let's go to the chat. Let's say hello. We got Jacob Dahl.
Wait, before you get into the chat, Jeremy, I mean, you're just going to brush over. You're going to Comic-Con. Like, is that what's the situation there? Is it your first Comic-Con you've ever been to?
Yes, I think it will be my first Comic-Con I've ever been to. Yeah.
Welcome to the nerdy side. I love Comic-Cons too.
Yeah.
Good.
Well,
Good to have you.
I appreciate it. You know what? I got invited. eBay sent me an email, like their PR department sent me an email and said, "Hey, if you want to come to Comic-Con, we'll hook you up with press passes or whatever." I'm like,
Nice.
done. Hook me up. Talk to my wife. It all works out. So I'll be going. Yeah. It's
Cool.
fun. I mean, I think it'll be fun. I can't wait. And Mint Inc. will be there. I mean, that's cool to have some friends that'll be set up. So yeah, it'll be great. But that's what but I'm going to go. Like, I'm going to go as press, I'll do a little press duty, but I'm going to be walking that floor, checking it out. Why? Have you been? What am I in for?
Oh yeah. Like I've been to San Diego Comic-Con. I go all out. I mean, my 8-year-old loves it. That's a big one. I mean, if you like pop culture, that's really what it is. It's not just comics. It's also like every TV show and movie and, stuff from like the 80s that I love. There's like millions of Goonies and E.T. and Gremlins figures and fun things like that. So you'll be totally entertained.
Well, all I needed to know was that Alyssa Milano will be there. So, if you're of my vintage, that's pretty big, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a big one. She stole my heart.
All right, back to the chat. Midlife Greg is in the house, and he will be excited to see his partner in crime, Darren, with us. Laura, good evening. Welcome. We got the Kush God 420. Says David Chase has great thoughts on the sticker revolution. What did it look like at Strongsville? Can't wait for tonight's show. Welcome to the show, Kush God 420. Confluence Sports Cards. It is playoff hockey time. Started today. Can't wait. Bill Betts, good evening. There's Tony. We're going to talk a bit about Tony maybe at some point here in the show as well. He had we'll bring Tony into the conversation. We got Rob Starr with us. We got Hodges. Brad's Vintage is here. The Curmudgeon is here. Chris C. Well, hey, Bill Betts, the greatest show on earth. We got Jeffrey Clapper, Called Shot Cards. Oh, we got the whole crew. Ken Wood is here. What's up, Ken? Yankees fan. This podcast has eye appeal. Love it. Michael Rader, what's happening? The real, not the fake, guys. So there is a fake Mike Petty running around out there. This, though, is the real Mike Petty. Yes, Clark Kent is getting ready to join us. Hey, there's Matthew Tomcat Sports Cards. Matthew, you going to be at Expo? Ben Burrows, good evening to you, sir. The Cardboard Corner is here for the eye appeal. There's Orlando from A Collector's Dream. Anthony C. is here. Loyal Jeremy Lee watcher. What's up, Orlando? I love it. Oh, the real Mike Petty says, I'm an eye appeal Inc. B. Anthony, good. He says, good. Jim at the bank. What's going on? Jeff McMahon is here. Larry Gitlin, Brad's Vintage, Show Mad Men. Obviously, these goofs don't know the meaning behind the song. The real Mike Petty. Stu.
We know.
we got the Grail Chase. What's going on? David and Jeremy like peanut butter and jelly. We'll take it. We'll take that, right, David? We'll take it.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Chris says, I've often wondered how eye appeal works on those action-packed Braille cards. Good evening, everybody. Confluence. KK, will this episode be longer than WrestleMania? No, this won't. Well, you never know. You never know. Probably. I got an early morning tomorrow, David. So we're going to stop this one probably right at the usual 3-hour mark. Collector Charles, welcome. Jay Hawker is here. Double O's card guy, there he is. Wesley, welcome to the show. Midlife says Darren is the man. We got tomorrow. Yeah, this is Double O card guy gonna be helping me out at the booth tomorrow. Cannot wait. What's up, MG? Piccolina the cat, Rip fan. Oh man, Confluence. Comic-Con thought Jeremy was cosplaying Magneto. I will not be cosplaying. No, I will not be. We got look at that. There's Defend Pro right there. I just shouted you out for sending me the sleeves. Thank you so very much, Chris. Alyssa Milano is the boss. Who's the boss? That's right. Double V, Mike, you coming to the show tomorrow? Be great to see you. Bob Boozle is here. We got everybody. There's Chilson. My back hurts is here. What's up, dogs? I like that. A fake Petty. Good evening, Tony. Hey, there's Matthew, 1956 Tops guy. Jeff Hart, Patriot Sports Cards. This show is top 5%, no doubt. I love it. Rage is in a quick announcement, everybody. Rage has entered the building. Fan in the stands. What is up from OKC? And Brad's Vintage says, Jeremy is way more Professor X than Magneto. I will take it. That is true. Collector Charles met Henry Winkler at his local Comic-Con a few years back. His auto inscription said, Charles is cool. That's pretty cool. Charles in Charge, right? Charles in Charge. Wasn't that a spinoff? Or was that? No, that was a spinoff from
Charles in Charge, I don't think was a spinoff. It was Joni and Chachi that was a spinoff of Happy Days, Jeremy. Come on, get this straight.
You know, Scott Baio has a very active Instagram account now, too. He was Chachi, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't Charles in Charge? Charles in Charge was a spinoff as well, wasn't it?
That was it? Chachi. I mean, Chachi, Charles, I guess it can be that way, but I don't know. Did he go to living in the house to a babysitter? Could be.
I don't know.
Let us know. Mookie should know that.
Mookie would know. Let us know, totally. Mookie. Let us know. All right. So we're going to be bringing on Darren in a few minutes. Here are the topics. Actually, before we get into the topics, David, I want to ask you, how are you? How is it going? You didn't get the PSA 1 Jackie. You picked up a new Jackie. You got it at Strongsville. How's that going? How are you feeling about things? Where are things at with the Jackie journey?
The Jackie journey. You know, I've had a lot of ups and downs with this Jackie journey, even just over the last week. And I don't really 100% know exactly how to feel. And I keep kind of looking at it and I like it, but then part of it shows a little too much toning for me. I'm starting to act like a weirdo. And then, I think part of the issue that I'm having, Jeremy, which I think that you can think about also, because I know you've had this before, is that this Jackie is my most expensive card by double, right? The most expensive card I've ever paid by more than double. And I don't know if it's my favorite card. And, I've heard you kind of say a similar situation where your big boy card you love, but it doesn't mean it's your favorite card just because it's the most expensive. It's kind of weird to feel that way. Don't you think so, though? Like, because everyone expects it to be. Right?
Well, people expect it to be, but even if you're having a few like concerns about the jacket that you bought. It's double what you've ever paid before, most for a card. But that, like, are you saying that you would, it feels weird to you that the most you've ever spent on a card is not your favorite card? Because I don't think
Yes.
I don't think it has to be your favorite card just because you spent the most on it. But maybe that's just me, and maybe you do feel that way. And if you do, that's all fine and normal, of course. But is that where your tension is? It's because I spent more than I've ever spent before, yet it's not my favorite card? Or is the tension that I was expecting this to be my favorite card and maybe it isn't now that you have it in hand? And that's more the tension versus what you spent.
It's both, right? I feel like I'm when I brought home my cards and I started showing even my family, I was more expensive of my Joe DiMaggio. I was more excited for my Joe DiMaggio without the black and showing that, which was like 1/6 the price of that other card. And that was like the one that like made me a little bit more excited. And then I showed the Jackie, and I do like it. Okay. And I mean, I like it a lot, but it's just, man, it's just so hard to look at other Jackies after that annoying PSA 1 was just so spectacular. Like everything was so perfect on it. The colors, the centering, the brightness, like every single thing. And you know what? There's one on REA, which is way above my price range, so I'm fine to talk about. But it's like a PSA 4 that is spectacular, way above my price range. But I'm starting to see that they are out there, ones that are a little bit more perfect. I do like it. I'm being picky. It's a great card, but there is room for improvement, which is sad to say.
But you know what? If you ever, the nice thing is that you've got a great copy. You know, you like it a lot. You might not be madly in love with it like we do get with some of our cards, but hey, if nothing else, you've got a great piece of trade bait that you can take with you to the National, to the West Coast Card Show, to Strongsville next year, and have it there to use to pick up a new card, a substitute, and maybe that one's even cheaper because it's in a lower grade but looks better, which we know happens quite easily. So, but we got some comment. We got the chat piping in on this one. First of all, hello to Kinger. So let's see what some comments are here. Brad's Vintage says, I think most people's favorite card is not their most valuable. I wonder, we'd have to take a poll. Maybe that's a good poll. Actually, funny enough, we can take a poll. Let's do a poll.
Let's do it.
Is your fave card your most expensive? We're gonna do a poll right now.
Talk me down, chat. Talk me down. Am I being a crazy person to think that I should think that way? You know, I know Josh Adams doesn't think that way, right?
No, he doesn't.
Josh Adams has a crazy card, and I think he likes the Billy Ripken bat card above that card.
All right, there we go. Put in the chat, 1, if your favorite card is your most expensive, and 2, if it is not your most expensive. 1 for yes, 2 for no. We'll go through some more comments in the meantime while you guys are answering the poll. Orlando says he agrees with David. My most expensive card isn't my favorite card. So there's another vote for the no. Charles says that's why part of collecting is getting a solid deal on your Grail card, not just paying a large sum for it. It's always nice to get a good deal for sure. Mike Petty says my favorite cards are the ones I've spent the most on. So he's gonna vote yes. Chris says those two things do not have to correlate. I agree. Fan in the Stand says my favorite card is a 90 Donruss reverse negative signed with inscription reverse negative. Most people would say who cares, but I love it. Hey, as long as you love it. Mike Petty is going to give you a black Sharpie, David, to fix that Leaf DiMaggio with no black. Good, to which Mookie says, good idea, Petty. Absolutely. Greg says David feels about his Jackie the way my wife feels about me. It's okay. Oh, my sports card hoard says David's most expensive card is my favorite card. We got polls, Mookie. We got polls. Isn't that awesome? They just launched like less than a week ago here. Rob Star says problem is that David's still thinking about the copy that got away. This one may feel like he's settling. Is that a bit about it, Dave? Is that kind of where you're at?
It is. I mean, I'm going to always compare that card to all the other Jackies just because I put so much of my heart and love into that card. So it's hard for me to look at another copy and feel like it's, it's a better version. And man, this grade is it's a 3 compared to that one being a 1. But I still if I could find another one like that, which I probably never will, I just have to get over it. It's gone. All right.
Yeah.
That card's never coming back to me. So though there's new ones in the hobby though. This one that's on REA that is going for, we'll talk about that probably when we talk about stickers, but that is a brand new, it's a brand new grade, new to the hobby, never been sold before. I actually nerded out and looked at every single 4 to see if like any have sold that was that card in the past, unless it was broken out of the holder. So they come up, new ones come up. I'll maybe find one that hits it, or maybe I'll fall more and more in love. You know, sometimes you start dating somebody and you like them, and the more you get to know them, you fall deeper in love. That might be my Jackie.
That might be your Jackie. Absolutely. I think it's possible. Jim at the bank says there's always something better out there. Acquiring a pricey card is more of an achievement other than something done out of love. Okay, well, it depends how you approach it too, but definitely hear that comment. Cardboard Corner says, does everyone know what their favorite card even is? I think that's a good question, because my favorite card changes from week to week, month to month at times. Tony says it doesn't have to be your favorite, but it better be one that makes you very happy. Absolutely. I definitely do agree with that. Okay, let's see what's going on in the poll. Is your favorite card
runaway
expensive? Only 8% said yes. 92% said no. This sort of widget is not telling us how many votes we received, but I saw several in the comments, so I don't know how many altogether. It looks like maybe 20 or 30. We have 130 people with us here, so that's very few. But if you're watching on Instagram, guys, come on over to YouTube, that and Twitter as well. That's where you can get your comments in on the chat. All right.
But wait, I just want to mention, Jeremy, with you, okay? Because your Joe Jackson is so much more than any other card that you've ever purchased. Am I right by saying that? By
seven times more than I'd ever spent on a card before. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that 99% of people would be shocked if that was not. And I know you always say you go back and forth and it might be sometimes your favorite card, but just for it to not always be your favorite card, that didn't kind of weird you out after making that kind of purchase?
Well, David, once I put it with my other favorite cards, like my 33 Gaudy Babe Ruth 144, my 48 Leaf Jackie, those are like, and then the Joe Jackson, those are like my favorite cards, those 3 right there. So it just depends. I've owned the Jackie for like over, I think it's 13 years. I've had my 48 Leaf Jackie Robinson. Like you said, the longer you spend with a card, the more you can grow to love it, just like a woman, right? And so, or a spouse. And so I love that card, but I also love my Babe Ruth 144. It's a PSA 1. It's absolutely beautiful. I love that card. And that card, I think I got a great deal. I think I got a great, not a great deal, great value, because it's so nice for the grade. So that's a favorite of mine, because I got into a card for at a great value. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's the opposite of paying 6 figures for a card. That's a favorite as well. So they're kind of 3 different cards with 3 different reasons why they'd be my favorite. But at the end of the day, you put them all in your hand together. They're just 3 baseball cards about this big, made out of cardboard in a slab, and they represent 3 of the 3 great players worthy of. So yeah, it's not always my favorite, the Joe Jackson, but sometimes when I really start thinking about it, I'm like, okay, right now this is my favorite card. But Jackie has held that title more than any other card in my collecting history, and I think that's true. And then the Babe Ruth was, my kind of superseded it when I got it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I just love this thing. So,
but one thing that's funny is that with that Jackie, your first love, you almost cheated on that Jackie. When that PSA 1 came out, you had thoughts to cheat on that Jackie if the price was right, to move on from her as much as you loved your first love, didn't you?
That's true. That's true. I was willing to kick her to the curb if I could get into that PSA 1, which, I mean, where I wanted to be, I was blown out of the water anyway, even before even you got involved. So yeah, that wasn't, but hey, that might be my regret down the road as well. Just like it might be, well, you can't regret it. You missed out due to a technicality, but
no, it turned out I didn't. It turned out I didn't. Right?
Yeah, it's a fun conversation. It is fun to think about, and I have lots of comments in the chat, guys. So thank you. We're not going to get to all of them for sure, but well, Tony says, would that Jackie be your favorite if it had a gold sticker, David?
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely missing that.
Yeah.
Tony knows about those gold stickers, doesn't he?
Good evening, Fallow Ball. What's up? Fan in the stand says, do y'all think too many people in the hobby think it's a, you know what, measuring contest? I mean, I think a lot of people do, but is it too many? No, I don't think it's too many. I mean, because the reason I say I don't think it's too many is because I don't really care. I don't really, like, go ahead. There's a lot of people driving fancy cars that they can't afford, living in big houses that they can't afford. And are they winning because they are showing as if they've got the, whatever we're going to call it? Like, I don't know. They're winning in their own head. It's more of a them thing than anyone else thing, I would think. So, yeah, Mookie, I almost used my hall pass on the PSA 1. Bob Boozle says Wayne Gretzky rookie card is pissed at Jeremy. Yeah, and it should be, because I was quite loyal to that card for quite some time. But then I became unloyal to the Gretzky rookie. Absolutely. Rob Starr says the acquisition story of a card can make it a favorite. And I think that's a great point, because the hobby often says that, stories are so important when describing a card and in terms of a card being attractive and being coveted by many people. If a card has a story, but then you go to that next level of story where the story becomes your story about that card, which is a personal thing. It's kind of like how, my cards are more valuable than your cards because they're my cards. I have that emotional attachment sort of thing. Nobody pays for your emotional attachment to your card. Well, that's fine, but I don't have to sell it because you don't have emotional attachment to it for your offer at the same time. So, hey, this hobby is a lot of fun for sure. All the different ways to get into it. We do have Darren return to collecting. He has joined the studio. He's in the back room. We'll bring him out just momentarily. Looks like we've got, oh, here we go. Stukes says sentimental value is more important than monetary value to me. Well, Stukes on the hobby spectrum is going to be a purist, far on the far left, and that proves it right there. The Cardboard Corner says I often have a favorite card of the moment, and that's it right there. Like, when you have so many cards, it's kind of nice to know that there isn't only one that you love. Like, you can have, not that you don't love more, but my favorite does rotate somewhat. Does yours too, David, or not?
It does. Yeah, like if it's not for the Jackie, I have like a bunch of favorite cards. I agree with you. I kind of have like a flight of favorite cards. But I definitely have ones I like more than others, which is why we're so excited by the end of the year to have Jeremy rank his cards that he's saying he's not going to do, but we're gonna keep pounding at it to see if he can do that for us.
We'll see. Pizza every night gets boring, says KK. Yeah, that puts it in a way most people can understand. All right. So we've got. Oh, I mentioned the Sport Card Expo briefly before we got into that conversation. I just want to share with everybody, because I am co-hosting the Hobby Social Night of the Sports Card Expo on Thursday, April 30th. If you will be at the Toronto Expo, make sure you get in on time on Thursday to come join us at the Arizona Grill Lounge, sponsored by Upper Deck and Total Sports, and hosted by myself and Sports Cards Live and GP Sports Cards. And it's always fun. We're coming up on 20 years of this being a traditional event. It has taken different forms and different sponsors now, but Upper Deck has been sponsoring this really since the Expo came back after the pandemic. So if you're going to be at the Expo, everyone is invited. Thursday night, Arizona Grill Lounge. It's only a 5-minute drive from the International Center, which is the conference center where the Sport Card Expo is held in Toronto. So that's great. We'll see you guys there. I hope to see a bunch of you guys there on Thursday the 30th and at the Expo itself afterwards. All right, David, we're going to bring Darren on. You ready?
I am ready. I love Darren.
Darren, you ready? Give me a thumbs up, buddy. All right, let's bring him out. Welcome,
Hey, guys.
Darren. Return to collecting. What to the show? What is up, Darren? How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. It's about time. It's about time we have you on the show. Listen, I'm a fan of yours, Darren. I've watched your channel. I watch you and Greg do your collaboration regularly. You guys are just you guys have a good thing going. It's a good. Someone called me and David peanut butter and jam earlier. You and I don't know if anyone's ever tried a peanut butter and banana sandwich. Anyone ever tried a peanut butter and banana sandwich?
You and Elvis.
I'm serious.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm serious. It's a good sandwich. So if me and you, David, are peanut butter and jam, we'll say Greg and Darren are peanut butter and banana. I don't know who the banana is. Let's move on, Darren.
Greg is definitely the banana.
It's just really good to have you, man. I'm happy to have you. We have some good topics to get into. But before we do, I want to learn a little bit more about your hobby history and really when you got into the hobby. Did you take any breaks along the way? And what? Oh, you just got distracted by this comment from Greg. Yeah, obviously. What's up, Shaheen? Welcome. Peanut butter, banana, and bacon, says Wesley. There's a curveball I want to catch. Absolutely. Can't wait to check that one out. Yes. But Darren, give us the short version of when did you start? Bring us right through till today.
Yeah. So thanks, Jeremy. What's up, David?
Hey, what's
going on, bud? So I started collecting when I was a kid. Collected probably from, I don't know, around when I started playing baseball. So around like 7, maybe 8. I collected until I was probably like 13, 14. And then I stopped collecting. And funny enough, like right after I stopped collecting, my dad started to collect. So I would go with him to, auctions back in the day when you had the little, the piece of paper doing
the
paddles doing their bidding. So went some auctions with him and some card shows with him and stuff. And then he is funny enough, like he collected through me, graduating from college, and I wasn't collecting yet. And then he sold his collection. And then like 2 years later for my 40th birthday, he said, "Hey, I got you something that you've always wanted, but you've never had." And I was like, "Sweet, got me a 911 Turbo. This is great." And he handed me this little wrapped rectangle, and I was like, "Oh, what could this be?" Unwrapped it, and it was the Nolan Ryan rookie card. So I was like, "Oh, sweet. Always wanted one of these," and got it for me for my 40th birthday. And we were in Hawaii for Thanksgiving, and when I got back home to Colorado, I spent like a day or two like looking into other cards, and then jumped online and didn't realize you could buy baseball cards on eBay at that point. So went and started buying some baseball cards, and within a month I was fully back into it again.
What year was that you got back into it?
It was the end of 2018.
Okay, so 2018. So have you been fully into the hobby since 2018? I mean, you got showcases of cards behind you. He's nodding. You've been like immersed in the hobby.
I've been back in, and I've been changing it up a lot, right? I got back into it, and I started buying all the cards that I used to go see at card shows when I was a kid that I could never afford, right? Hank Aaron rookie, picked up a Koufax rookie, Willie Mays rookie, just a bunch of cool cards. Obviously more Nolan Ryans. Got my Nolan Ryan run in this case here. And then during the pandemic, when a lot of the stuff I was picking up got really expensive, I was like, "Hey, I'll try something new." I used to like opening packs when I was a kid, so I started picking up some more modern stuff, and that every single thing I touched has turned to crap. So I switched out of that fairly quickly, and then got back into my focus on vintage, and basically that's the direction I've been going. I picked up a couple modern things at Strongsville, so why not pick up the modern stuff at the vintage show this year? But yes, you did the same, right?
No, I didn't want to interrupt you. Sorry, I was going to wait for you to be done. But I was wondering the Ryan that you received as a gift. I know that you have like a very highly graded Ryan Is that the same Ryan?
Yeah, it was the SGC 9. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
That's a crazy super high grade.
Yeah, it's not, and I know we might talk about this later, but if I sent that in for a sticker, mine would get a sticker because it's a really nice 9. Like I've compared the images, the high def images of the couple of 10s and the 9.5s, and I can't, I'm not a grader, I can't see the difference.
No. Well, it's okay. The graders can't either in many cases.
That's fair. That's why we have stickers.
Yeah, that's why we have stickers. That's exactly. So you got back in 2018, vintage. You've dabbled in a little bit of modern. Now you've been back in the hobby. I can do the math pretty quick. That sounds like about 8 years now that you've been back. 8 years go by. Have you ever sold a card, or how long through that 8 years did it take until you did sell your first card?
Yes. So yes, asterisk caveat. I sold. So last year, Greg, my buddy Greg, said, "Hey, I'm gonna have a table at a show, and I've got space in my case. Do you have any cards you might want to sell?" So some of that modern stuff I bought that, I paid like hundreds or even thousands of dollars for, that was worth like $15-20. I said, "Hey, yeah, can you sell some of that for me?" So I sent him that. And he did. And I appreciate it. Thanks again, Greg. Jeremy, I think you actually bought one of my cards from him.
Oh, the Pedro Martinez.
Yeah. Pedro Martinez. Yeah. So yes, yeah. I sold you one of my cards.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah. And then, but I never sold any of my vintage stuff. And Theo, our friend Theo, he started working at CIA, and he said, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if you sold some of the stuff you don't love?" There it is. There they are. I recommend them. I've been using them a lot every month for the last 4 months, 5 months. I've been using them. I sent them another batch of cards the other day. So if you guys are looking to sell anything, check out CIA. Tell them Darren sent you. But yeah, he basically said, "Look, what if you sold some of the vintage stuff that you like to move into some stuff that you love?" And I said, "Yeah, Theo, you're a smart guy. That's a good idea." So I never really sold much vintage. And then suddenly I'm selling, I don't know, 10 to 20 vintage cards a month now.
And how did that feel like the first time? Because I think that when you're a collector and you just hold cards, you never sell, and you might think, "I don't want to sell my cards." And you might take pride in saying, "I've never sold a card. I only buy cards." I'm not saying you, but some people we've heard that tone before. But then you sell a card. Did that kind of open up a new synapse in your brain? Did it send like electrical pulses through different routes in your brain to get you to kind of realize or to open up your mind to a different way of proceeding in the hobby?
Yes, it did. And what I'm like, my newest shift of how I collect, which is funny because just like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I'm like, "Hey, I might start picking up some of this like 90s insert stuff because it's reminds me of, right around the time I stopped collecting, but the players or the guys I would watch." So that was cool. And I bought one, I guess I bought two. And now I'm shifting again, and I'm selling, not that stuff. I actually really like that. That's some of that's in this case here. But I'm selling some of my like older vintage stuff to put together, I don't know, lack of a better way of saying, like a war chest, so that when like one or two, like I'll sell by the end of June, based on the stuff I'm sending to CIA and plan to, by the end of June, I would have sold 60 to 70 cards. And all of that money is just going into a war chest for like potentially 1, 2, 3, or 4 cards, which I'm excited about because it's a shift for me. And I've got a friend that, David, you met him, Dave, right?
He's awesome.
Our buddy Dave.
Yep.
A friend of mine, Dave, I met him a couple years ago at the National. He has an incredible collection, and he's really big on quality over quantity. And in talking to him, and he and I will meet up, like I would say once a quarter or so, maybe more than that, and grab lunch or dinner. And I see him at shows, obviously. we've been talking a lot about it, and I've learned a lot from him on that. And it's driving this new direction of, if I could get rid of 20 cards. And then the thing that's tough is each time I send cards to CIA, it's harder and harder because I like the cards more and more than I'm sending. Right. So
exactly.
I'm at the point now where, I'm texting, I'm texting my dad, texting my brother saying, am I stupid? Should I even sell this? And they're like, well, it depends. Right. And, Dave made a good point of when I was talking to him of, when you get that Grail card in your hand, you kind of forget about what you needed to do to get that. And this is coming from a guy that, we'll be eating a hamburger and have like fries on the table and like sodas, and he'll just like slide a Cracker Jack Jackson in a 7, like, hey, check out what I got. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to smell on this or touch it or breathe on it. Right. So like, so he knows what he's talking about when it comes to, consolidating into the big stuff. And, what he said made sense. And, it's the direction I think I'm shifting to.
Go ahead, David.
Darren the Flipper.
Yes.
Darren the Flipper.
Yes.
How do you choose, though, when you're looking at because you have a pretty nice sized collection? How are you choosing the cards to sell? How do you go through that?
The first couple batches was easy. Ironically, my friend Dave came over to my house and he wanted to see my cards. So I took a couple of Zion cases of my better cards and I laid them out across my pool table, and he was looking at them, checking them out. And, his son and daughter came over and checked them out too. And then they brought some of his cards for me to look at, which was awesome. Like he had a little corner of the pool table that was like 1,000 times more valuable than the rest of my pool table of my cards, but it's cool. And, when he left, I started putting him back in the case. And as I was putting him back, I go one by one. I'd say, I like this card. I love this card. And after a second, I'm like, wait a second, pull those back out again. Let's try this again. I like this card. This goes in a pile. I love this card. It goes back in the case. So that's what I did the first couple rounds of cards that I sold. And now with the stuff that I'm selling, it's more of I'll go find some stuff that I potentially want to buy that's pretty big, but I know I'm going to love it. And that gives me the motivation to kind of go through cards that I really, really like a lot, but I'm willing to part with to potentially get one of those.
Darren, when you sold that 60 to 70 cards, or you've sold, I think you said altogether by time the national comes, it'll be 60 to 70 cards you will have sold from your collection. What percentage of your collection would that have represented?
I would say probably 10% of the cards and or 10% of the value, maybe 15% of the value.
That's so that's not a lot. I thought it would be a bigger number because,
it might be more like 15 to 20. It's not. Here's the thing. If it was based on value, I know it wouldn't be, because the questions you were talking about before I came on, I don't love my best cards because they're expensive, but the cards I love the most of the cards I love the most in my collection happen to be expensive. So I'm not selling any of those. Right. So, if it was that, like, I could sell like 6 cards and it would be like 50% of the value, and I'm not selling any of those because I love all of those. But, some of the ones I'm moving now they're getting a little bit bigger. They're getting a little bit, they're a little tougher to move, but, I just go and look at, some upcoming auction catalogs and say, ooh, well, if I could make this happen, I'd be okay moving these. So it could be more like 20%.
But you're right. The more you consolidate, which is really what you're doing here, we just haven't used that term yet. But the more you consolidate, shrink your collection to move smaller cards into bigger cards, the harder it gets along the way. But you said that you also, or was it you, or maybe it was someone in the chat? I'm sorry, but once you move the cards, you then have to deal with kind of like seller's remorse, or trader's remorse, consolidator's remorse, maybe it's called. You sometimes have to deal with that. have you dealt with that at all? Have you faced that at all where you are regretting anything? Because you even said you've called your father, your brother, asking them for some advice, maybe just to get that gut check in place, sort of thing. But I know from I've done a few big consolidations myself. One was 330 cards for one, and that was big. And it's good to forget about it and move on. But I keep a folder of all those cards I traded away so I can remember and kind of see how that might work out down the road. And also because I want to do some content on it. Eventually, it's been a year. We'll see if I get to it, but I'd like to do that. In any event, have you felt that you've missed any of the cards yet? And if not, do you anticipate that you might?
I haven't really missed them yet, but one thing that I have kind of noticed is every once in a while somebody will do a video, right? And they'll say, hey, show the best position, come up with your best team based on, the rookie cards you have of theirs, or the best one recently was like the best players that played their whole career on the same team for each position kind of thing. And I'm like, every once in a while when I see this, I'm like, oh, I want to make a video like that. And then recently I'm like, well, that's not going to happen anymore because some of those cards that I had, I've sold. But it hasn't been like, I haven't seen that and then walked away and been like, what have I done? No, right? I was like, oh, that would have been fun, but I guess it's not going to happen.
Yeah. It's that's good. I mean, listen, it's never fun to look back on a card that you did get rid of and kind of feel bad about it. That's obviously never fun, but it's also inevitable that you're going to regret some, and some are going to go up in value. Maybe not you. I don't know what you gave up, but some of the cards that I know I've given up in the past, they just shoot up in value later. You're like, dang, if only I'd waited a year or two. But then you got to look at what you picked up, and hopefully that card has had some value accretion as well. Because we can say we don't care what our cards are worth, but I don't say that. I do care what my cards are worth. That's important to me. But hopefully what you dispose of, what you pick up goes up in concert with what you disposed of. So, David,
I think that it's very tough to consolidate at the beginning, and it's hard to choose the cards that you're going to let go. But it is very rare that I miss a card that I've gotten rid of. I mean, Jeremy, out of those 300 cards, how many of those cards have you picked back up again over the last year?
Oh, I don't think any, but I probably missed 10 of them, but not to the point where I'm beating myself up about it. I'm not. But Darren, every time you did it, every time that you've sent cards to CIA, you said it's getting harder and harder to choose what to give up. But here's a different question. Is it getting easier to be someone who now moves cards out of their collection? Because for the first 8 years of you being back in the hobby, you never moved out of a card, but now you've started it. Is it one of those things where, okay, you've broken the seal, now it's easier to get your head around that, hey, I'm somebody who doesn't only buy and hold, I also do have a fluid collection with cards coming in and out?
Yes, absolutely. So this last batch that I sent, there were definitely cards in there that if you were to ask me like 2 months ago, I would say I would never, both the card itself or like just the quality of the specific card or the emotional attachment to the card. I would have said never. Now it's easier. Now it's like I'm going through and I'm like, huh. And that's why now I do like reach out to my dad and my brother before I send it. Cause I'm like, I might be getting a little too excited about selling some of this stuff. And I don't want to screw that up. That's why I kind of check with them. But kind of back to your previous question that you asked, I don't think that so if I sell a card and the value goes up, I don't feel bad because somebody else chose to buy that card of mine, and I'm happy for them that the value of the card went up. And on the flip side of that, there's definitely been cards in the past that are bigger where I'm like, I really want it. And then now I'm like, damn, I should have bought it because it's gone up way too much and I can't afford it. So the way I think about it now is if I sell the stuff that I'm willing to get rid of and somebody buys it and it goes up, I'm happy for them because they bought a card and went up in value. And I now have the money to pick up cards more quickly when they're bigger and I see them so that I don't have the regret of, man, that card would have been awesome to buy, but now, it went from being like a low 5-figure card to being like a solid 6-figure card. So it's less likely I'll pick it up.
Yeah, fair. Now, there is a narrative out there that, like, you're not a true collector if you sell cards, or, there's sort of a stigma out there that some people, I think, place upon, and it might stem from the whole world of flippers and the negativity assigned to flippers that we've seen really since the pandemic. Because every LCS is a flipper, right? Every vendor at a card show is a flipper. Where do you get? So I'm set up at card shows. People, they come up to me and say, "Are you buying?" I'm like, "Where do you think I get this stuff from?" But they might not realize that I don't open up a bunch of wax and unopened sealed cases, not to get my card show inventory. No, I buy it from people, collections, or just at shows. But there's that big negative stigma that is attached in some circles, I suppose, to people who do sell cards from their collection. So when you made your first decision to move out of some cards, were you aware of that stigma, or is this just living in my head? Were you aware of that stigma? And if you were, how did you deal with it internally?
So I definitely was aware of the stigma. I like to watch people's YouTube channels that judge how other people collect and spend their money. I think they're fun to watch.
No shortage.
Right, exactly. But at first, when I first was thinking about doing it, that did pop in my head of, wait, what am I thinking about doing? But then I was like, you know what? I don't care, because it's my collection. I can do whatever I want with it, right? I could throw it all away if I want. I could give it all away if I want. If I want to sell some stuff, I can. And then, funny enough, after I started doing that, I retook my hobby spectrum quiz, and my score it used to be a 24. Which was, I wrote it down. No, I didn't. It was a 26. And I think it was more of like, hey, I'm a collector-ish range. Now I'm a 44, and I'm a hybrid.
Welcome to the dark side, Flipper.
Yeah,
Welcome to the dark side.
Right. And I think when I was taking it again, I thought about the answers I was giving. There were a lot of value-related stuff that before I was like, I don't care about that. I'm a true collector. I'm above value. I don't care. Now I'm like, hey, if I'm going to sell some of this stuff, I need to understand where the value's at. And if I'm going to sell a lot of stuff to buy something big, I really need to understand the value, at least from the perspective of like comps, right? Because I don't want to be like, hey, I sold all this stuff and I found this super obscure Ty Cobb card or whatever that I wanted to pick up, and I bought it. And then, 6 months later, one comes up for sale, and I had never seen one up to this point. It comes up for sale, and it's like a third of what I paid for it. And I'm like, whoops, right? Like, so I do care about, I don't even know maybe I've always cared about value, and I was just too embarrassed to say it, but now I'm free and I could admit it, guys. I do care about value.
Oh, you're speaking for many, many people in the hobby, Darren. But you know what? Bringing up the hobby spectrum does make sense here, because the people that are the purists, for the most part, really don't care what their cards are worth. And I don't disbelieve them. I
agree.
I get that. But you went from nostalgic, you skipped right over the precisionist over to hybrid. That's a 2 archetype shift. That's a big change in mindset. The cool thing about the spectrum is that your profile will record your old results as well, which, if anyone hasn't taken it yet, go take it. Hobbyspectrum.com. It's now open. There's no early access code anymore. And if you took it, back in December, January, February, you can take it every 30 days and have your score updated. You can now add up to 10 players you collect to your profile, 7 teams, 7 sports that you collect. Sports would include things like Pokemon and Disney and Marvel. They're all in there as well. And that way, people get a bit of a rounder picture about what you're collecting versus just what your archetype is, but a bit more about what you're interested in. More to be added to that. We got a cool thing in development right now that's going to take some more time, hoping to have that ready should be ready for the national, if not well in advance of that. But okay, well, that's pretty cool, Darren. I want to go to some comments, guys, because I've got a lot of them checked off that I want to get to here. And but before I do, I just want to go to Darren. Any lingering thoughts you want to get out before we take a little break?
No, let's look at some comments, and then we'll jump into some of these other fun topics.
I want to say one thing about Darren, though. For you always mention your brother and your dad. You're getting opinions from your buddy Greg, your partner in crime. He's not part of the decision-making process.
Yes, it depends. The specific cards that I want to sell, I haven't necessarily gone to Greg with, but the higher level, like conceptually, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing, like fundamentally changing the way I do this. Greg and I have had lots of discussions about that.
Cool.
Yeah, and and Greg, and he's so supportive of the change. I appreciate it.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, that's the thing. It's always good to, you can go to your family, but having a hobby buddy or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 that you can call and just, just get that gut check sort of thing. Just they might say something that legitimately makes you second guess, what you might be doing. And you don't want to, just sort of preclude that from ever happening. So yeah, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, honestly, when I decided at first, I was like, I'm going to do one or two of these auctions and sell some stuff. And now that I'm selling more and more, I was chatting with Petty the other day, and he helped me feel a lot better about continually moving stuff out.
Yeah,
so I definitely appreciated that.
He's got a comment in the chat here that I want to get to. So, all right, if you guys in the chat can hold your comments for a few seconds, because I want to
slow it down, guys.
Slow down. We're gonna go in reverse order here. Actually, we're gonna start. Well, we're gonna almost reverse order. Tony says Darren loves flipping cards. That's just to what is the most catchy song in the hobby is Tony theme song. I actually can't listen to it anymore because it sticks in my head for like the whole day.
Yeah.
After it's in my head all day. So I press play on Tony's videos, just like I'm sure people do on mine. I skip ahead because otherwise that song's in my head like for hours. Not only is it the catchiest song in the hobby, it might be the catchiest song in all of radio. Greg says, I will always support you, Darren, and he means it. What a great guy.
I know, he does. He's the best.
KK says Petty likes McRib and an orange drink. All right. Fan in the stand says get the pitchforks. He cares about value. Right. Exactly.
I know.
Double V says, why would I care what other people think of my collection and collecting style? Selling helps me fund other cards. Absolutely.
100%.
Michael Rader says consolidation is an important part of the hobby, whether due to age or to acquire new cards. Absolutely. Stukes says Rich Klein explained the other day on Hobby Hotline, nearly every dealer was a collector back in the 70s. That's how they grew their collection. Some of us still do that. Absolutely. Chat, Stukes, everyone's on fire right now. Nicholas says, I like the method that David Chase uses to collect, knows what he wants, and is uncompromising. I love that. Collector Charles says the perception is that flippers are predatory and don't care about collecting, which isn't true. Sometimes they're flipping to get that grail card. Absolutely. You can flip and collect at the same time. You're not only in one of the archetypes on the hobby spectrum. You can be in many. That's another feature coming soon to the hobby spectrum. Anthony says most collectors who sell cards usually have their eye on another card they're looking to buy. This is a comment that I want to stop on for a moment because I sort of operate that way myself, but I'm always like, what I do is before I go to a card show that I'm set up with, I go through my collection. I ask the question, can I live without you? Can I live without you? And I go through it. And then I'm adding like fresh inventory to my card show display. But I don't necessarily have another card in mind. However, I know that I'm going to leave that card show with a bunch of new cards. And I love going to a card show, not knowing what I'm going to leave with. To me, that's a very exciting thing. However, I do go with targets as well. It's like I'm a hybrid that way. So, but that's a cool comment. Let's get your guys' thoughts on what Anthony is saying. Most collectors who sell usually have their eye on another one they're looking to buy. Do we agree with the comment that most collectors do that? Or what do you think? David, you're shaking. What do you think?
Yeah. So, I mean, this was very familiar to me going to Strongsville because I had a deal in place for my Jackie and 2 short print leaf cards well before I ended up going to Strongsville. So I did have that, my eye on those cards, but I brought enough cards for a lot more than just those cards, because just like what you said, Jeremy, I wanted a shopping spree. And I wanted to, if I found the cards that I love that were part of my list and the cards that I know that I'm always looking for, I wanted to be able to pull the trigger. And so it's a little bit of both, right? You sometimes go for the card you're looking for, and sometimes you just are trying to build some money so you can have a good time at the national coming up, right? Things like that. What do you think, Darren?
I agree. I think I would say there are cards that I have on my goal list that are bigger than cards I would have normally put on my goal list because of the fact that I'm selling stuff. So I do have my eye on those, but they're not necessarily for sale right now, and a lot of them don't come up for sale very often. So it'll just, I'll have that set aside for it. And then I'll also have, be able to use it at least part of it as just additional, budget for the national when I go and just pick up some fun stuff like I did in Strongsville. I think I had like one of the cards I picked up in Strongsville was on my list. The rest were ones I was just kind of hoping to see, or, I wasn't even thinking about it. I think my Thorpe, I was wanting to get one, but it wasn't a plan for Strongsville. And then, my Cobb, I just was like, cool. I know I wanted one. I didn't think I was going to see one there, and there was, so I picked it up. And then my Jordan insert, I was like, whoa, this is sweet, man. I've been watching Hoge's channel recently, and I'm like, Jordan sounds like a cool guy to collect. So I got to pick something up. The one I got definitely wouldn't hang with his stuff, but it's an insert. It's got lightning on it, so it's super cool, right?
It's always fun. I love seeing a card at a show that I've never really seen before or never really stopped and looked at. I'm finding that now with, the second, third year vintage football, baseball, basketball cards where, well, not so much basketball, but football, baseball, where it's like, that third year Unitas, man, oh man, what a beauty. I've never noticed it before simply because it's not his rookie card. That's the only reason I never noticed it before. I'm like, damn, I missed some great cards along the way because of that rookie card, preference that most of us have had it at one time or another. Chris from Missouri has joined us. What is up, Chris? Welcome to the show. He was with us a couple of weeks ago. Rip fan, love the way you collect, Darren. Just awesome stuff. Very nice.
Thanks, Steven.
David Cooey is here from Muskegon, Michigan. Welcome, David Cooey. We got Bob Boozle says the synapse is located behind the medulla oblongata. Boucher. Fresh Prince. What's up, Fresh Prince? Good to see you, buddy. Shaheen says totally regretted half the pre-war cards I've sold over the years. Live and learn. That's important comment too. Live and learn. Be careful what you give up. But a lot of people will give up cards in a consolidation process, and they will give up cards, and then you'll hear them say, I can get this again anytime. So if I were to give up a Gretzky rookie card or a Jordan 86 Fleer rookie card, I can go get those again anytime. Yeah, the price might be different, but they're not hard to find. Josh Adams, who will be on the show later, that's something that he kind of lives by, is that way of looking at it. I can always go find these cards again. He traded away a whole 48 Leaf set at one point in time to get another card. Why? Because he can get that again, and he's back working on it. What is up, West 238th Street? We got Lonely Basement in the house with us as well. Tony says, I just don't understand collectors that sell cards to get bigger cards. Very good. Orlando says, I'm doing the same thing Darren is. It's the only way I can get cards I've always wanted. A lot of people use card capital to get new cards. They don't dip into their family savings. So makes a lot of sense. Bob Boozle says, I live with no regrets. On another note, I'm going to prison. Greg says, enough of the card talk. Tell us about your burrito date in Ohio.
I went on a double date actually in Ohio with David Chase and Greg, and they sat us at a broken table, which was awesome because the waitress was like, yeah, this table's broken. And David's like, has it ever collapsed? She's like, yeah. We're like, well, thank you for putting us at it. This is great. Which is funny because we actually went there for dinner because we got to Chris's from Missouri thing a little late on Friday night in Strongsville. And we're like, crap, we need to go get something to eat because people had eaten a lot of the food because they brought some good food in. And Dave and I are like, let's go get a steak. And Greg's like, we can't get the steak. We got to go somewhere quick. We're like, all right, fine. So we'll go to the burrito place. It was like a sit-down Chipotle. Like you pick how you want your burrito to be. It's like a custom burrito sit-down spot with broken tables. And it took like an hour and a half. Like we could have gone to like Delmonico's and it would have been quicker than it took to bring us our custom burritos. But it was fun.
Greg was sweating. Greg was like, we need to get back there. Darren and I are like, let's have one more drink.
And now we're not talking about the Pareto principle. That's something completely different.
No, this isn't the petty burrito principle. This is like true custom-made burritos that we ate.
True we actually ended up switching tables because the one was broken, and they sat people right at it,
multiple people, and we kept telling people, like, you don't want to touch your table, it'll collapse. And finally the manager came over and said, fine, flipped it over, tightened one bolt, and fixed it. We're like, really? Why did this take so long? Literally, the waitress was like, I was cleaning it the other day and it collapsed, and we had to like put it back together. I'm like, well, why didn't you just get a new table? That just doesn't make any sense.
I love the mix of topics here. Rob Starr says, we are all curators of our own card museum. Without limitless funds, we have to make tough decisions in order to pivot and grow. Absolutely. David Cooey says, the spectrum balances passion and profit perfectly. Love to hear that. Hobby Champs, just imagining Jeremy actually talking to his cards. Do I still love you? Do I still love you? Yeah, I think we go through that. Nick Chen, how dare you, Nick Chen? You literally just put that back into my head. Tony loves. Okay, I'm not going to do that to the rest of you. My back hurts. If nobody, that's not me. Someone, this commenter's name is My Back Hurts, says, if nobody sold their cards, we wouldn't have any to buy. That's true. And you know what's interesting about that is that I feel the same way, and I'm willing to talk about this more at a point in the future. And I've said this before, that there's a lot of negativity towards breakers, which I understand some of that argument. But without breakers, a lot of cards don't make their way into the secondary market for people to buy. Similar to if nobody sold their cards, we wouldn't have any to buy. If breakers weren't breaking them, we couldn't buy ultra modern singles as well. Although the argument there as well. Sure, but then they'd be opened other ways. Well, yes, they would, but then the leagues wouldn't be getting as much royalties. The card companies wouldn't be making as many cards, and we'd be back to one set a year like we were in the 80s, or 3 sets a year like we were in the 80s. Okay, I know that's took a couple leaps there. Alex Hiddell says, flipping is code word for overcharging. I disagree with that completely. Alex Hiddell, I think some people might view it that way, but I don't see it that way at all. David Cooey says the spectrum promotes smarter collecting, encourages learning from fellow collectors, and will continue to really grow how we're doing that over there. Thank you, David. Michael Rader says my goal want list keeps increasing, therefore my eBay for sale list keeps on growing. And you're lucky you have the ammo to do it, and then you can make those tough decisions. And Michael Rader must be making tough decisions. It can get tough. It can get very, very tough to keep on figuring those out. So. All right, so Darren, your approach to collecting, the way you collect in the hobby, your direction has been changing as of recent, and you've moved from pure, the left side of the spectrum, purist, nostalgic, not selling, to going on and selling now. Now I want to switch it up and talk a bit about graded cards and slabs, because I personally collect graded cards. I don't respect the grade on the cards anymore. I used to before I had the epiphany and realized what grading really was. But I like uniformity in my collection. I like, I that's why I don't collect like oversized cards. I want cards to fit I want them to stack nicely, let's say. I also like, I would like all my cards to be in the same slab. They're not. I have multiple company slabs. How about you? Do you care if your card is in a PSA Beckett, CGC, SGC slab? Do you care about that? Do you collect raw cards that you'd rather have in graded? Like, tell us a bit about that.
So I don't care about what slab it's in. I pick up cards from every grading company. I want to find the card that I like. I pick up, especially since I started getting more into like the pre-World War I stuff, I've been picking up a lot of oversized. So I've got Zion cases with normal size cards, and I've got bookshelves filled with oversized stuff. Because obviously, like you said, you can't stack it. You can, but it gets heavy and it falls over. I'll pick up anything from anybody. The only grading company, honestly, that I don't think I have a card that was graded by them yet is the new Mike Baker grading cards. I don't have any of his yet, which is interesting because I saw a lot of cards graded by him at Strongsville. There was there was a couple guys there that it looked like they might have bought a collection and had everything regraded by Mike Baker, because it was like really incredible stuff, and every card in the case was Mike Baker. So I don't have anything from him, but I think I have cards graded by every other grading company.
Yeah. What about you, David? Where do you stand on that?
I like SGC and PSA. I don't really like anything else outside of those two. When I get a Beckett card, it's really a special card. I actually got one in Strongsville from Theo, and the check to Snowman ended up giving me a really good deal on a cool DiMaggio Leaf card. But I want to crack it out and put it into SGC or PSA when that happens. But I do know that Darren is 100%. He does live by that, because Darren, don't you have a very famous Ozzie Smith rookie card in a BCCG holder that you come in?
I used to. I think I sold it, but yeah, it was. I that was before I knew anything about. I think it was my second card show when I got back into collecting, and I'm like, "Oh, an Ozzie Smith rookie in an 8 for $25." I was like, "Yeah."
That was like 90-10 center in or something,
right? And I was looking at it, and I got it home. I'm like, "How is it an 8 when it has a tear in it? That's weird."
Yeah, that shouldn't be. That should not be the situation at
Well,
all.
I talked to Dr. Beckett about it when Greg and I had him on our channel. I was like, "What's up with BCCG?" And he's like, "It's not for." I mean, I'm going to paraphrase and not paraphrase him correctly for that, but basically, BCCG is, people don't care about the BCCG. Like, people use it. It's inexpensive to get it, but you get what you pay for, and nobody expects like super high quality. And that's the only one I probably wouldn't buy. Like, 'cause I've seen BCCG 10s that have that like legitimately should be like a 7 or a 6. Like, they have legitimate issues in their BCCG 10s. So that one's tough. But the upside with BCCG is, if it's a card that you just want to have in your collection, like let's say you're a set collector and you like to get graded cards, BCCG is great because you get all the commons in that, and you don't really care about that, and they're a lot less expensive. So, regardless of whether or not I like it, I think that there's a market for it. It's like stickers.
I think BCCG is done now. I think they took that off the menu quite some time ago. Do you know, Darren? Or because the way you're talking,
I don't. I'm assuming they did. I haven't seen very many of them. I mean, I think they should. It'd be cool if have like a renaissance of BCCG. I think that'd be amazing.
You can buy another Ozzie Smith rookie if they do.
I know, because I sold mine. I can find. What I would like to do is find one in a BCCG 10 that has like a pinhole in it.
All right. So Mookie, before we go and start talking about eye appeal stickers, because we're going to talk about that next, I want to go through a couple more comments here. Jim at the bank said, "Don't underestimate the value of." Sorry, Darren. You'll be back on in a second. Don't underestimate the value of simply managing collection scope by selling, whether funds are quickly redeployed or not. Unloading pieces that feel like clutter can have non-monetary benefits. That's true. I agree. Nicholas Augusta says, as older collectors die off, their cards will be sold. Just imagine what is out there. I am ready. Yeah, that's a good point as well. There will be cards entering the market, and it's already happening. It's always happened. Fan in the stand says, buy the card, not the grade. I mean, that's like one of the slogans of the show. Hobby Champ says that Dakota of Sports Cards Anonymous has a great analogy for the hobby. Are you building a mausoleum or are you building a museum? Interesting comment. And maybe because I don't know exactly what a mausoleum is. What's a mausoleum?
It's where you bury people, I think. Right?
Like a graveyard?
It's like, when you go to right. It's when you go to a graveyard, and it's like those little like concrete shed things where like rich people put their family members. I think that's a mausoleum.
Okay.
As opposed to just like a headstone.
All right. I don't know that I understand that. Hobby Champs, enlighten me. I don't know that I'm understanding what that is. One is, I guess, you're taking them into the ground, and the other one is you're allowing them to be displayed for the public in a museum. I'm not sure.
I think what you might mean is like your museum changes out pieces of art, right? Like they'll bring stuff in, they'll put stuff out. There might be some permanent collection. Where fluidity. A mausoleum, once you're in there, you're not coming back out.
Okay.
Unless your family stops paying the rent, and then I think they have to like take you out and put you like somewhere else, because that rent's like in perpetuity. good business model, I think.
Well, I think some people are building one and some people are building the other. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay to be buying a mausoleum as well. Although 90s, Josh says it's above ground. So okay. Well, I think you were saying that as well, Darren. And Fan in the Stand says this is about slabs not being all in the same slabs drives me up the wall, but the cost would be nuts to make it uniform. That's the problem. A similar problem that look at Luke Browning's coming up with the actual definition pasted from somewhere. Stately or impressive building, house, or tomb or group of tombs. Thank you, Luke Browning, for that. Mookie says Nassau Mausoleum is where the Islanders play. All right. Okay. Let's talk about David. Did you have something else, or you were just that was a reaction?
Oh, I was just reacting to it, but I want to say actually one quick thing about Darren's channel. Can I just say one quick thing about Return to Collecting?
Absolutely.
So, Darren, one thing, we never had this conversation, Darren, but one thing that I love that you do about your channel is that there is no fluff. When Darren puts out a video, his average video is like 6.5 minutes. And I respect that, Darren, because there's a lot of people that make you sit through 47 minutes of nothing to get to their point. Darren gets to the point. He shows his card and he gets off the air and he puts it up whenever he wants to. And I know when there's a Darren video, I'm going to watch the whole thing to the end and I'm excited to watch it. So thank you, Darren, for being so direct. I appreciate it, buddy.
No, I appreciate that. And I try to talk fast enough so people can't watch it at 2x because then they can't understand anything. So they're going to have to watch it at a normal speed for the whole 5 to 6 minutes.
It's very kind of you. It truly is, says somebody who does 3-hour plus videos on a weekly basis. So I don't really have much to add to that conversation, but but no,
didn't mean against that, Jeremy. I'm just saying there's a lot of people that talk directly to the camera. And you know what? I already know Greg is going to right now think I'm talking about him. I'm not talking about you either, Greg, okay? But there's a lot of people out there that are just in their basement talking for an hour and 15 minutes and showing their like raw card. Yeah, I knew you would, Greg. I knew you'd feel attacked. Yeah. But there are people that do that for an hour and 15 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, get to the point. And I just love that Darren is concise and it's exactly what I want to hear. And then he moves on. So I appreciate that, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening to Jeremy from California.
Hey, Jeremy.
Shooter. Hello, straight shooter. Build what you like and makes you happy, period. Absolutely. Dave Snyder is alive and is going to the Buffalo Sabres, Boston Bruins playoff game tomorrow. Dave Snyder, congratulations. I think Buffalo is going to win that series. So I'm cheering for Buffalo, buddy. So good luck and have fun at the game. Let us know next week how it was for you, how the experience was. Playoff hockey in Buffalo has not been around for quite some time. So enjoy it. And Greg says fluffers have feelings too, bro. So, yeah. Got lots of love for Darren. Jeremy from California. Darren has some great videos. It's okay. We need all types of shows. Absolutely. Double O Cards guy says if Greg's videos were any shorter, my workday would be absolutely unbearable. That's awesome. You bet, Dave Snyder. You bet. Sundin says, I remember the museum versus mausoleum video collecting towards a theme or story versus a crap load of random cards. And if that's kind of where he was getting at, then yeah. But it's funny because like as a very experienced collector with coming up on 5 decades of freaking collecting, I've gone from being all over the place to very focused to being all over the place again. I just like so many cards that it makes it very difficult to allocate funds where you need them, which is why selling becomes a necessity in many ways. Okay, I appeal stickers. And I think the reason, first of all, they've been in the news, which is really the hobby narrative for a couple months now, it feels like. Talked about a lot. And our good buddy Tony from Tony Loves His Baseball Cards, Southern Collector 14, put out a video the other day where talking about the card that his 49 Bowman Satchel Paige, I believe it was, that he picked up. I think he picked it up in Strongsville. Yep. and then got the sticker, and a pretty good length of a video talking about his mindset and why he did. And Tony was someone who was, kind of not in the sticker crew, if there is such a thing before. And when we're talking about stickers, I think a lot of people know what we're talking about, but we're talking about the eye appeal stickers that are a second opinion on the eye appeal of a card relative to the technical grade assigned inconsistently by the grading company along the way. And so who are the players in this? And I believe that MBA, which is Mike Baker Authenticated, I believe that Mike Baker was the first, I think I'm right, was the first entity to put a sticker, a third-party sticker on a slab to indicate that it was a strong for the grade sticker. You had PWCC back in the day had their eye appeal assessments as well. But I think that came after Mike Baker introduced the concept, which I believe Mike Baker introduced the concept early in the pandemic, because I remember seeing video of this booth, this MBA booth at a Dallas show way back, and thinking to myself, what is this? What's going on here? Good God, look what we have going on in the hobby now. And then I came to understand it, and I have my opinions on it, my thoughts on it. But you got MBA, you have PWCC, you have now Fanatics acquires PWCC. They change it from the PWCC eye appeal assessment to the Fanatics Collect eye appeal assessment, different certificate, different sticker. Then you have Eye Appeal Inc. Maddie C, who's a great collector. I say on Instagram because that's where most of us see him. He launched a company called Eye Appeal Inc. It just went public on the internet, not public in terms of the equity, but it was open to the public like in February here, I believe, after a good year of development. And there you can now actually get the Eye Appeal Inc. sticker. If your card is God tier or is in the Hall of Fame on that platform, you can get the sticker sent to you to put on your card. And I'm sure a great way to make sure that people aren't putting them on cards that don't belong. You can always check against the database, which is another one that's now out there as well. But that's not voted on by one individual. That's voted on by a council and or the community, which are people who are, on staff, if you will, to assess these cards. And finally, I just learned about this one. 4 Sharp Corners now has a sticker called Elite Eye Appeal. It's the Elite sticker. There aren't levels. There's no gold, silver, black. There's no like S for superior, E for exceptional, A for above, like Fanatics and PWCC used. It's just Elite, and you can see that if you look at any 4 Sharp Corners card on eBay or anywhere else where certain cards have their Elite Eye Appeal sticker. So what we see is we had the pioneer of it being Mike Baker, who was also the first head grader at PSA in the 90s, launches it, and now we've got a bunch of, let's just call them like copycats, but I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, of course it's going to happen. And with the new 4 Sharp Corner sticker, it makes me think that there's only going to be more of these coming in time, right? There's going to be more people saying, I have an opinion on what a good eye appeal is relative to the technical grade. I'm going to start issuing stickers to cards, and maybe people will pay me to do them. So I think that what inning are we in? What inning are we in of the sticker game? I think we're still, maybe we're in the 3rd inning. If Mike Baker launched it in the 1st, and then you had the PWCC, Fanatics, Eye Appeal Inc., and now 4 Sharp Corners. But who knows how long this will go. So just to get all that kind of preamble out of the way, the question becomes, why do people want these? Are they dumb? Do they make sense? Is there a place for them? Is there a place for them on modern or just vintage? Is there a place for them on cards at grade 10s or only cards at grade, 1 through 9 or 1 through 8? There's all these different questions out there about them. I got my thoughts on all of this, but I'm going to stop talking now. We're going to go to Darren, and I'm just going to say, Darren, what are your thoughts on all this? Where do you stand on stickers?
It's very controversial. I will say that. I literally, Jeremy, I've lost friends over my opinion on stickers. It's very controversial, but I will say this. I don't mind stickers. So I was kind of up in the air. I was kind of like, whatever. I actually have cards with stickers. I didn't buy them because they had stickers. I just happened to find a card I liked and, it had a sticker on it. But in talking to people in the hobby that I respect, like Tony and my friend Dave, who they will go get. Well, Tony went and got this one, right? And I think that was great. And I talked to my friend Dave, who he brought his incredible collection to Strongsville to get stickered. And I think, like, put in perspective, this guy's collection, the cards that didn't get stickered were like his Gaudy Ruths and eights. Those didn't get stickered. The really good stuff got stickered, right? So, but in talking to him about it, I totally understand the logic behind it, right? Because I think for majority of like normal cards and like lower grades, I think a sticker, it's kind of, to me, it might be a little silly, not too silly. It's a little silly, but for the real high end stuff, it totally makes sense to me, right? Because if you own cards that are worth, like, let's just, hypothetically, if you own a card that's worth $500,000 and you pay $10,000 to get a sticker, and the card's value is now $600,000, I think if any of us had that ability to do that in the stock market, we would just sit there and trade all day long, right? That's all we would do. Because right? It's like it's locked in. It's basically guaranteed. So I understand it when people have a high-end collection and they're at a point in their collecting journey where they're contemplating, what are their next moves with the collection? Am I going to, am I going to sell the collection? Am I going to pass the collection on someday? When you start thinking about that, it makes a lot more sense to me, and I totally understand why you would do it. And back to the whole value thing, right? Like I'm not gonna hobby spectrum myself up to like a 99 by saying this, but like when you have really high end stuff, right? When you have significant amount of cards that are 5, 6, in some people's case 7 figures, being able to plan what you're going to do and make small investments here and there that kind of lock in your return on it, to me makes a lot of sense. And I don't think it's a bad thing because look, they get the sticker on these higher end cards, and then the person that's going to buy it, clearly, you're not like screwing over the little guy, right? Like if you have a 52 Topps Mantle and a 7.5 that gets a gold sticker, or a 1915 Cobb in an 8 that gets a gold sticker, you're going to sell it for $100,000 premium because it has the gold sticker. You're not screwing over the little guy. You're talking about like a $600,000-$700,000 card, right? The guys that are buying these cards have monster budgets. I would hope that they be somewhat savvy, and if that's what they want, if that's what they think makes sense for what they're buying, why not, right? Like I'm not big on things that screw over people that don't understand what they're doing or are new to the hobby, or have a lower budget. So if they make a mistake, it's very, very impactful. I don't like that. I wouldn't be supporting anything like that. But when you're talking about stuff that's like upper mid to higher end, it doesn't really bug me because typically the people are more savvy. They know what they're doing and they have the money. And if that's what they want to do, they do it. And I think it's funny when people judge how other people spend their money on the hobby. If somebody says, hey, I love the most iconic cards of all time and only 8s, 9s, and 10s, and they have to have gold stickers on them, cool, right? Like those are your millions of dollars to spend however you want to do it, and that's how you do it. So cool, right? So that's kind of my take. I have nothing against it, and I hope I don't lose more friends by saying that.
Well, I find it hard to believe that you lost friends over this, Darren. I mean, for an opinion on a sticker. I'm not calling you a liar. What I mean,
it's silly and it's a little sad.
Well, it's. I mean, we're not talking about like. People lose friends over, politics, religions. Like we don't even maybe lose friends over cheering for rivals in sports, but we're going to lose friends over something as silly as an opinion on eye appeal of a card relative to technical grade. Like,
right?
I mean that's a little bit ridiculous, but I mean if that's what happened, that's what happened. I mean some people take this like it's as important as those other things, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's to me it's kind of funny, right? Because you watch a lot of channels. We talk about this. I think a lot of people talk about this all the time about how the grading companies, they hire these kids and they pay them $17 an hour and they don't know what they're doing and But then we criticize somebody who truly is one of the the experts in the field that's been around the longest. We criticize them giving their thoughts on it, because that's dumb. But it's not dumb though to, be okay with the grade that the person has no clue what they're doing gives it. So I think really having Baker give his feedback on cards is great, because, technically he's the expert. He's been doing it the longest. He has a great eye. And, it kind of solves the problem that we've been complaining about for years of, millions and millions of cards are getting graded every month, and there's not enough people to do it. So they just have to keep hiring people off the street that don't know what they're doing. Cool. For 99% of cards, I guess it's not really that big of a deal. But for like the real rare stuff and the real high-end stuff, the people that have those are like, hey, I have this incredible card, and some kid took 10 seconds and gave it like a 6 when it's, there's no reason for it to be a 6. It should be an 8. But then Baker comes and says, hey, I agree with you. It should be an 8. Here's a gold sticker. The same people that criticize the stickers are the same ones that are criticizing the crappy processes within the grading company. So to me, it's kind of funny that there's even an issue with it. But again, I don't think it applies to every card, right? If every single card went and got a sticker, Baker would be a billionaire, and it would be kind of a waste of money across the board. But I think for people, like, let's say you have your collection, I'd say, if you think about it, maybe your top 5% of cards in your collection might make sense to sticker, because someday when you need to move those cards, even if they're cards you love and you don't plan on selling, somebody will sell them on your behalf someday, right? Might as well get the maximum return on them.
Yeah, I think Tony said in the chat here that getting a sticker is a business decision. And listen, I mean, you cannot care about the value of your cards, but if you have significant value tied up in your cards and you love your family and want them to have, have some money at the end of the day to make their lives easier in your absence, then it's kind of wise to jump in, and I would think, and use that business decision. So okay, David, I know you got a lot to say. We're gonna keep going on here, though. We're gonna keep this chat going, because I want to go through comments. I want to share my thoughts, and I want to hear David's thoughts. Once we get through all that, well, okay, Joe just arrived, so I want to bring Joe on, but Joe, do you want to come on now and just hang out while we go through that process, or do you want to wait in the back? Come on? Yeah, okay, we're going to bring Joe on, guys. Please welcome Joe Perreault back to the show.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, everybody. Hey, good to see you, Darren.
Good to see you too.
Good to see you, Joe. Welcome. Hope you've had a good night so far. Have you been paying attention to this show, just so I know where you're at?
Yeah, for the most part. I did take a walk, but I'm in mid-flow here on the sticker conversation, so I know David's up in the queue, so by all means, carry on.
We will get you caught up here. Okay, David, David, do you want to go now, or do you want to go after comments? I'm going to go after comments. It's up to you.
Doesn't matter to me. Whatever you feel like.
Let's go comments first, okay? I'm
gonna get a lot of hate for my conversation, so let's get through the comments first.
We're gonna whip through the comments. Yeah, Tony said the stickers are a business decision. Fan on the stand says it makes 0 sense. The cardboard corner says, does eye appeal really need a sticker? If it's not appealing to your eye, is the sticker supposed to persuade you to make a decision? Mookie Chilson says, beside the sticker, Mike Baker feels real hobby need a human you can speak to in person at shows and digest your grade, a refreshing break from industrial opaque graders. David Masseri says PWCC started doing eye appeal assessments in 2019. Thank you, David, for catching me up on that. I just didn't have my timeline straight. Luke Browning said, when I first saw an NBA sticker in 2021 at the National, I laughed my arse off. I now pay attention to it. I don't think I value it as much as others, but Mike does know his stuff, so there is value. Fan in the stand says, in my opinion, dumbest thing ever. You're going to tell me my card is cool. Thanks. Tim Giants fan says, oh, hey, Tim, eye appeal sticker is an eyesore. I can see people think of that. Dave Snyder says, just another unneeded way to extract more value away from a card. Sundin says, my 2 problems with stickers. Has anyone made a counterfeit NBA sticker? Tony Conti says it's a sham. Mookie Chilson says stickers are succeeding in a marketplace that is underserved. Industrial grading is imprecise, opaque, inconsistent, unreproducible. Sorry, I'm adding some of these adjectives here. He says Mike Baker is wisely satisfying market demand for high precision grading of high-end cards, which ties into what Darren was saying. Dave Snyder says, please, Jeremy, say no to the concept and restore my faith in real leaders in this hobby community. I'm going to try to keep the faith, Dave, but I might throw you for a curveball. Michael Rader says stickers are important due to poor graders. Keep this in mind, guys, as we continue the discussion, please. Stickers are important due to poor graders. It's not just poor graders. It's inconsistent graders that don't even adhere to their own standards, and the standards are changing always. Kevin Jones says the sticker is subjective on top of the grade. It's kind of goofy. Ron Fig says, I won't unfriend any of you no matter how bad your opinions are or how wrong you are. That's nice, Ron Fig. Lonely Basement says, my dad always told me if someone stops being your friend over gold stickers, they were never really your friend. There you go, Darren. Take that one. Take that to heart. And Tony says, I like stickers when my card gets one, but I don't like them when they are on a card that I want. It drives the price up too much. Great for the equity in my card. However, okay, so those are the comments that I had marked to look at here. And there's a bunch that have come in since then, which I don't know how soon we'll get to them, but I'm going to share my thoughts on stickers now, guys. And I echo a lot of what we saw in the chat here. I don't think I will right now, and this could change. I don't think I would ever buy a card with a sticker on it because I feel that I can still find the unstickered high eye appeal relative to the grade cards and get them at a discount. So because I think I have a pretty good eye for eye appeal, so I don't yet want to buy a card with a sticker and pay that premium. But if the card I want has a sticker on it, I think I would hold off for now. But I can't say that would always be my position because down the road, if stickers become just everywhere, then I may have to maybe my only option. So I don't want to pay for it now, just like I think what Tony was saying about it. Now, would I get stickers done myself? I've had a few stickers applied to a few of my cards over the years. I think I have 8 cards with eye appeal stickers on them. Okay, now what about stickers themselves? Like my thoughts on stickers themselves is that it ties into this whole thing about grading. Like it is what the stickers I believe are doing. And if you consider yourself an expert in eye appeal, you don't need a sticker. You don't need to get a sticker unless you're doing it for a business decision. You don't need to buy a card with a sticker because you have an eye for it. But if grading took eye appeal into consideration, like more so than I know people think every time there's a half grade, it's because of eye appeal. That's what they said when they introduced the half grades, however many years ago. That's no longer the case where it's just given for eye appeal. So if you say, well, the half grades are the eye appeal stickers, that's not true. Not it might have been their intent. It's not true anymore. So if grading was perfect, consistent, reproducible, accurate, in line with standards that maybe only change slightly as technology changes, then I could see there never being a need for stickers. The fact of the matter, though, is that there's overgraded cards, there's undergraded cards, and there are undergraded cards that, like if I submit a card for grading to PSA, and this card could have been a 6 one day, but it was a 4 on the day I grade. And let's face it, why do people crack and reslap? Because they know the grading is inconsistent. So if I have a 6 that's now, if I have a 4 that I think should be a 6, but for whatever reason, I don't want to go back to PSA to try and get it because it'll be random again, maybe I get the sticker put on the card because it's going to signify by an expert that this card is undergraded. I don't care if it's like eye appeal is important to me. It's like the most important thing, but it's also a sign of an undergraded card. So for everybody who thinks that grading is dumb, stupid, a scam, a sham, a way to extract value. I'm trying to think of some of the words in the comments from earlier. I hear your criticism, but then I'm led to believe that you think that grading is right every time. I think that's what I'm led to believe, that you think the grading is right every time. Because remember, not everybody in the marketplace has an eye like you do and knows that all 4s aren't 4s or shouldn't be 4s, because there are more people coming to this hobby now than ever. And if there's ever a time when stickers might be needed, it might be now when the hobby is growing. Tom Brady opening stores. Lewis Hamilton's about to open a chain of stores internationally. It's going to bring so many more people into the hobby that we're always looking out for the little guy in this hobby. We're looking out for the guy who can't afford to buy his cards anymore. We're looking out for the guy who had his cards stolen. Why aren't we looking out for the new guys in the hobby, new incomers who are coming in and might not know that not all four, until you read my book, Pops and Comps, which is very critical of grading. Until you read this, if you're a newcomer, you might not know that you shouldn't pay the most recent comp on your this PSA 4 that is way uglier than the one that sold the other day. That was made that was, sorry, you may not know that I think I was right. You may not realize that the card that you're about to buy that is an ugly 4 shouldn't be sold. You shouldn't pay as much as the beautiful 4 that just sold the other day. But that's what the comp says. The last 4 was 10,000. So I'm going to pay 10,000 for this one, even though it's ugly compared to the one that just sold. So that's why I see a place in the hobby for them. But that's it. Like, if you don't like them, I don't care really. Like, I'm happy to talk about it, but I get it. I understand that it's like, I already paid PSA to grade my card. Now I got to pay for an opinion on something else. Yeah, that seems wonky. Like, can't PSA do it all? Well, the answer is no, they can't. And even if they could, they wouldn't do it consistently. So I think what iAppeal stickers do is almost level the playing field a little bit in terms of making cards comparable. Now, you can also, that's why I won't buy one, because I can still go out and find one, because I'm an experienced collector who has a good eye for what I like. So I know when I'm willing to, and I will pay a premium for a card with it, like a stickerless high iAppeal card. I will pay a premium. I did on my Joe Jackson. I shattered all the records because my 1.5 Joe Jackson looks like a 7. I shattered records. I didn't need a sticker on there to tell me that, but I bought it anyway. I paid as if there was a sticker on there. So those are my thoughts on it. I respect everybody's comments out there about it, but I would just say, just think about it a little bit. Think about who it might make sense to. Who might not be able to go to the National and scout out an undergraded card? Lots of people don't know what they're looking at. Again, read Pops and Comps. If you're one of them, it'll help you out a lot. So, okay, I'm going to stop there. I've been talking for a while now. Let's go to David. We'll then go back to Darren. There's a ton of comments coming in. I'm not reading them right now because I'm in my own head, but I'll try to get to them. And then we'll get so we're going to hear now from, what did I just say? We're going to hear from David, then back to Darren, then to Joe, and then we'll do some comments. Okay, David, please.
So great, these stickers. All right, by the way, anybody, if you're a friend of the chat, get out, because I want to still stay friends with you.
David, one sec. When I was listing all the sticker companies, I forgot what might be the biggest one in the whole space, and that is Mike Petty's Honest Corner sticker. I forgot about the Mike Petty sticker. Petty, you have my sincerest apologies. I hope that we are not losing our friendship over that. Okay, David, over to you.
I mean, you kept saying kind of over and over again, an undergraded card. It's not always an undergraded card, right? Because there's so many different ways that you can grade the same grade, right? That's the problem, is that a PSA 3 can look 50 different ways, right? You could have a PSA 3 that Jeremy, you would love, that you want more than anything, and you would have one PSA 3 that you would not want in your collection for any reason. And it's the same grade, right? So that's what the sticker does, is it sometimes it gives a little seal that's saying that it's a nice version. Do we need the sticker before we are buying a card to tell us it's a nice version if we know what we're doing? No, of course not. Okay. But if somebody says to you, I picked up a PSA 3 of a certain card, and in your mind, like, let's say it's a card that you see all the time. Let's say it's a 54 Aaron, In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, that can be a million different ways. I don't know what that card looks like, but if they tell me it has a silver Mike Baker sticker on it, I can already picture, I bet it's a very nice copy, as weird as that seems, right? Now, I agree though, that like you don't need to have stickers on cards you buy. You hopefully can be able to find cards pre-sticker, obviously. And to me, if I was never selling a card, I don't think that I would sticker it, because I don't know if these stickers are going to be the biggest thing in 10 years from now. No one can tell that, okay? But if it's a card that you think you might be selling in the near future, even if it's just a possibility, it might not be the worst thing to do. But I'm just telling you guys, the people that complain the most about stickers, it is such a small percentage of cards that have them, and they are hard to get. So even your favorite cards, some of my favorite cards that I think are the greatest eye appeal, I did not get a sticker on them, okay? So it doesn't just mean that we're all out there right now and every good card has a sticker. It's this much that has them. So don't worry about it. Don't buy it if you don't like it. And if you want to sell a card that you think is unbelievable, that you maybe paid up for it and you're going to move on from it, maybe get a sticker and you'll maybe be able to get some of your money back, or a lot of it back, or maybe even a profit. That's it.
Yeah, good thoughts, David. Makes sense to me. So thank you. Now, before we go back to Darren, I'm just going to do a couple of quick comments here. KK said, so to dumb this down for me, stickers are like training wheels for grading. I think that's one way to look at it, but I also think it's like a supplement almost. It's a different thing, because that, like David said very astutely, is that it's not always for an undergraded card. It's all because technical grade. See, I not only have an issue with the inconsistency of grading by third-party grading companies, I also have an issue with the standards themselves. I don't buy into the standards anymore. I did when I was less in the know, or when I didn't understand my approach as well as I do now. I just don't think the standards make so much sense anymore, because to me, the eye appeal is more important than the technical grade. That's why I break a record by buying a PSA 1.5 of a card, shatter a record, never mind. I don't think it's just training wheels, KK, because to me, when you say that, I think to myself, okay, that means it's like helping the grader along. Well, it's not really helping the grader. It's giving a different opinion, using a different set of standards. That might be the key thing right there. It's a different standard. It's a different standard. So that if you can get your head around that, you might understand the sticker revolution a little bit more. And I mean that. I'm not trying to put one past it. Like, I don't care. I don't care really. I'm just saying. Double D Dylan says grading is fine. Stickers are for eye appeal. Completely different to me than the grading scale. I just said that. It's a different standard, Dylan. And by the way, always good to see you, buddy. Boozle says Jeremy needs to bring Dan and Darren together. Okay. I love bringing people together. Okay. So let's go now back to Darren. Do you have any follow-up after hearing from David, myself, and me reading through all the chat?
No, I agree. I agree. I think the key point is grading is inconsistent. Different graders grade different ways. I mean, there's people that bring X graders on their channels, and they're like, they'll say things like, I'll never give a card a 10. Well, then that's not good, right? Like, what if the card is perfect? So because of the inconsistencies, like you guys are saying, I think stickers are fine because they help kind of like flatten out all the inconsistencies, make it just a little bit more efficient. And again, like David said, so few cards have them. It's sort of a moot point. It's not like, hey, I got a sticker, let's say I send my like Tony, he sent, he got the sticker on the Satchel Page. By getting the sticker on the Satchel Page, it doesn't necessarily mean that when he sells it, the comps for every single 49 Bowman Satchel Page across the board are going to go up in price significantly, right? It means that his specific example, which looks really, really good, will probably sell for a premium because it looks so good. That's all that really means, right? So like when people are like, oh, well, stickers drive up the overall this, that. No, and I don't think they do. There's not enough, right? If like 30% of cards had stickers, then perhaps, but when like, a percent of them have stickers, it's moot. It's like one card, like his card, like Tony's card, how many across all grades with the stickers sell in a year? A couple, right? It's not gonna fundamentally change what people are willing to pay for the card across the board. It's only going to impact his because it's really nice.
Yeah. Go ahead, David.
And one thing also, listen, eye appeal has been around forever, right? Everyone tries to say that, right? But I'll tell you what, one thing that has not been around forever with eye appeal is that people are right now paying the highest amount ever by a significant amount for the grade, right? By leaps and bounds compared to what the highest has ever gone for. For example, the REA auction that has a Jackie in it, that's a PSA 4, that's going to go for probably 3 times more than the record for a PSA 4 because of eye appeal. Okay. And and some people, and let's even take the stickers out of it. Okay. That Jackie 1 that I love, right, went for 4 times the amount without a sticker. Okay. So because eye appeal right now, we're kind of in a revolution where people care about the card and not caring as much about the plastic. It is just, the sticker is a way to emphasize that the plastic does not matter as much. The sticker does now, which is kind of a joke, but it's really the eye appeal is the more important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A couple more comments here, guys. James Fertitta says, we are complaining about these stickers, but I haven't heard anyone speak about these stickers being incorrect or inaccurate. There aren't a lot of cards out there with them. And I think that's a good point. Until I also haven't seen a lot of pushback. We see a lot of pushback against third-party grading grades, but we don't see a lot of pushback against eye appeal stickers and whether or not it was deserved or not deserved. At least I haven't seen that. If we start seeing that, now listen, I've never bought a card with a sticker on it, like I said, but if and the reason earlier why I said I might eventually, because I might have to, because eventually if a huge chunk of the hobby's cards have them or have been through the process, which brings up another question. If we submit a card for stickering and it doesn't get it, do you, the next guy might come along and try to get the sticker? Do you tell him, do you have to tell him, what's the etiquette on that? I don't know. That's a whole other discussion. But then, okay, no, next comment. Brad's Vintage said to me.
But Jeremy,
go ahead.
On your Fanatic show that you show, right, all the time, I hear you all the time sometimes say, that ended up getting a 30% sticker. I'm surprised that they would show that with this print line. I have heard you make comments against it.
Yes, that's on the Fanatics assessment, not on the NBA. Not on NBA. I don't know. I was thinking NBA specifically, but I don't remember everything I've ever said, David. I've probably also said it about an NBA sticker along the way. But until it becomes narrative and common, and we're hearing a lot about it, the other thing is that I do my comments based on my screen, 2 dimensions. I'm not able to look at the card like Mike Baker looks at your card. It's in a dark room under a microscope, and it's a different process. But I appreciate that. Brad's Vintage says, to me, stickers are not needed. We have VCP card ladder that pretty much shows us every card sold in a grade. We should know what looks good before we buy. I completely disagree with this, Brad. And here's why. Not the fact that they're not needed. That's up to you. But not everybody has VCP and card ladder. They are both paid services. By the way, if you don't have card ladder and you do want it, it's a great service. I use it regularly. There's an affiliate link in the video description below. So go ahead and join card ladder. You won't regret it. It's hobby changing really for you. But in any event, but the other thing is that where Brad's Vintage says that pretty much shows us every card sold in the grade. I'd argue not even close to every card sold in the grade. Only at public auction. But there are as many, if not more, private deals that go on than there are public auction deals. That said, to Brad's point, you're going to get a good sample. You're going to get a good sampling when you look at that. But I don't think that Brad personally, and nothing against Brad. I like Brad. I've never met him, but I watch his stuff. I don't think that that's a good enough reason to say they're not needed, at least by some people who like them. So, but where he then says we should know what looks good before we buy. Again, not everybody knows what the general hobby says looks good. I know you'd think we should, but I just don't think everybody knows that. There are people who don't know what to look for, especially when it comes to certain properties of a card. especially registration, color, focus. Centering's obvious. Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jeremy, I think that's a key thing, right? Because at Strongsville, I was with people that were submitting cards to Mike Baker, not to NBA, to NBA, but literally to Mike Baker. He was standing there talking to us, the actual guy who then would go behind the little screen thing and decide on the sticker. When people look at cards, the problem you get is you have an emotional attachment to your card, right? So you look at it and you're like, oh man, like me, I love my Hank Aaron rookie card. I love it. It's 5.5. It probably looks more like a 4.5, right? But I love it. So in my mind, that's a fantastic Hank Aaron card. What Mike Baker's sticker does is it takes all the emotional piece out of it. So it's like, okay, look, here's your card. You love this card. Let me tell you why it's not better than what the grade is. Here's this, here's that. Like, very little things. And when my friend Dave did his submission, I got to stand there when because he did, he does the pre-assessment. I literally got to watch him do the pre-assessment on some of these incredible cards. And it was very interesting. And it was a learning experience for me because he's like pointing out these things that I wouldn't even have thought about. Right. So the fact that he has that knowledge and is able to do it, it takes the emotional piece out. So when people say, I have this beautiful card, he could tell you why it's actually not as perfect as you think it is, right? And I think there's value to that.
Listen, right. It's an opinion. You don't have to respect it. You don't have to respect the man. You don't have to respect his opinion at all. And you don't have to spend your money on it either. Like, that's all good. Like I'm not. So you don't have to buy those cards with stickers on them when you can, if you feel you can still buy them without the stickers. As I've been
doing. When you
get
one with the sticker, you know that it wasn't just some guy saying, hey, I have the best looking card out there. It's somebody who truly knows what they're talking about, assessed it and said, it really is, because there are little nuances that most people wouldn't even notice. And I made sure those weren't there before I put the sticker on it.
Right. It's almost the same reason why we get cards graded. Like it's just a different standard. Okay. A few more. I got to get to Joe still. A few more comments. Mike Petty
Joe.
Says,
Hi, Joe. Welcome to the show, buddy.
What's up, Joe?
He's storing his thoughts. He's going to, don't worry. We're going to get a soliloquy out of him. It's going to be beautiful. Mike Petty says, once your card gets turned down for a sticker, your card then sucks and must be sold. Skeppy, I'm wearing the Chronosio shirt today, supporting the sponsors who support me. But thank you for joining us, Skeppy. Desert Shield Sniper says, people are okay with PSA giving a high grade when it doesn't deserve it. But gives NBA a lot of hell for putting a sticker for grade eye appeal. I don't get it. If you don't like it, don't pay for it. That makes sense to me. From Desert Shield Sniper also says, here, David, if grades were more transparent, companies like NBA would not be able to make money off of this service. I think that's true in many ways as well. And I saw somebody said that PSA grading is transparent. I think Dylan said that in the chat. Dylan, I don't have the comment marked. And I think you went on to say, oh, here it is. Grading is, no, that's not the one. PSA is transparent with grading. The scale is listed with detailed descriptions of every single grade. That's different though, Dylan. That is transparency in their standards, which are, I mean, we know that graders don't follow the standards. That is transparency with what their published standards are, but is not transparency on how the standards were applied to your card that you sent in for grading. That's a black box. There's no transparency in grading. There just isn't. Yeah, the standards are there, but you don't know why your card got what it did. And that's why, if there was transparency in grading, guys, the crack and resub game would be dead. It would be a dead game. It would not happen. And it happens a lot. And it's been happening a lot. So, okay. Joe, you've been absorbing all this. You came in mid-conversation. What are you thinking, buddy?
Well, I really like Tony's 49 Bowman Satchel page too. I'm talk about, even though it's not mine, I have a subjective appreciation of that. What a blazer that is. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to the wisdom on this panel. I basically agree with everything that's been said. I think I just look at stickers as another piece of information that we utilize in our own assessments, along with I think a lot about the era of the cert, be it PSA or maybe SGC. I noticed Darren got a Jim Thorpe in an old SGC slab, which I hope we can talk about that maybe a little bit later.
Sure.
Congratulations, Darren. That's an awesome card.
Thank you.
But I think the other thing is, we're not always lucky enough to be in person when we're purchasing cards. And so given that scans can have, higher or lower degrees of fidelity in terms of what they're representing, it's again another piece of information. And I think I think I've somehow or another acquired one or two Mike Baker stickers, but it wasn't an intentional choice. But I do have a decent amount of PWCC stickers, and then a couple Fanatics, and that's just a byproduct of buying from that auction house or auction houses through the years. And I've mostly, come to appreciate the stickers, kind of amplifying the value. And as you already mentioned, Jeremy, there are variances even within the technical grades. So you can have grading inaccuracies, but you can also just have cards that present better than the technical grade would allow it to grade. So that all of these things, enter into it. And I think it's just one more tool that we have as consumers, and or when it comes time to sell. I think the market's proven that people do put a premium on it. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, you have. I like your attitude towards it. It's like, hey, if I want to buy the card, I'm going to buy the card. If I don't, I don't. It's like it's that's the thing. Like, you can not like the whole concept of this new service line that's been introduced to the hobby in the last 6-7 years. You don't have to like it. You also don't have to get involved with it. Like, it's not driving up comps on your average or low condition for the grade cards. It's only driving up the comps on the finest cards. And is it even driving them up when a guy like me is willing to pay a premium for an unstickered high eye appeal card? I'll do that. I did it for my Lou Gehrig. I bought a PSA. I forget if it's a 1 or a 1.5. My Lou Gehrig 33 Gaudi that I bought at the National last year. I think it's a 1. I paid a super premium on that card. No sticker. So eye appeal sells itself to the card connoisseur, if I can call myself a connoisseur. I like cards that look good to my eye, so I'm willing to pay for it. And the sellers are getting smarter and saying, listen, I don't need to sell this for comp because it's nicer than comp. Go get, well, that's fine. I could say to them, well, go get a Mike Baker sticker on there, prove it. But I don't need to say that. I trust my eye more than I trust Mike Baker's eye, because it's my eye. It's my money. It's going to be my card. Do I respect Mike Baker's opinion on cards? Yes, I do. I do respect his eye appeal opinion, but I respect my own opinion more because it's my money, my card. So just some additional thoughts.
The Jeremy Lee sticker coming soon. Has to be.
What's the cliche, Joe?
Don't tempt me.
No, don't. What is it like? Don't. Something about what you might ask for.
Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. There, David Chase.
But I would trust you more than anybody, so I agree.
Well, I will not. Yeah, I do have an idea. I do, and I've talked to a couple of people about this business idea that I have for myself to offer some sort of service. It's not a sticker. It's not an eye appeal sticker. It's completely different. It's way better than an eye appeal sticker. It's way better than a PSA grade or a SGC grade or a BGS grade. It's way better than any of those things, but it's not a sticker. And if anyone's interested, let me know. I'll tell you what I'll tell you what I might be thinking about. But yeah, completely different, but similar if you care. Anyway.
Can I ask Darren about his Thorpe?
Yeah, thank you, Joe, because I know, you know what? I'm excited for this conversation. Darren, I don't know if you know, you don't know, but Joe, can I just tell him like what Joe loves that card, Darren? Not just the one you got, the Thorpe card. He loves the Thorpe card. So I've been excited for you guys to bond over the Thorpe. So yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Great. No, I mean, I don't think that's actually news because I think I've raved about the Thorpe card live, but sometimes we'll hang out afterwards and I rave and I confuse the live with just our normal banter, post-show banter. But no, Darren, I do love the Thorpe card. I've owned 3 and I regret selling off one maybe 8 months ago because I just see it as a really, talk about iconic. We were talking about iconic last week. I think that card brings together both, athlete, artwork, set, importance culturally, like so many things, so many interstices there. So what I'm curious about is, one, like, how did you go to Strongsville with that as a goal? Was that on a list anywhere of a target? And also, when you saw it, like, was there anything interesting about the acquisition? Not, I don't need you to tell me what you paid, but like, was there any hesitation, or did you bring in some trade to it? And then thirdly, and we've talked about this a fair amount too. I know, it's something that I have gone through partially. Do you have any inclination to swap it out of the SGs, the old school, prescription bottle green SGC slab for either a tuxedo or potentially to a PSA slab? So that's your runway, buddy. What do you got for me?
Okay, so I'll start with number 3. No, I'm not a slab guy. I have I have a lot of cards still in old SGC slabs, and I don't mind it. So I probably won't do that. Honestly, the reason I say that is this. Once I get the card, I'm like, David was hanging out with me. He knows this. I get anxiety about stuff. I don't want to, once I get that card and I travel home with it and I get through airport security and nobody stole it and the guy on the plane doesn't steal out of my bag when I take a nap and I get it home, I don't ever want to have to do anything with it. Right. So like I get nervous, like sending it. So I don't want to take it with me to a show to get it reslabbed or mail it somewhere to get it reslabbed. I'm just I'll keep it in the slab.
So the guy next to you being Greg, right? The guy next to you in the
airplane. So Greg sat across the aisle. The guy actually it was an old lady sitting next to me. I'm pretty sure. No, actually it wasn't. The old lady, by the way, this drives me nuts. When you get on the plane and it's like a couple and it's like a very small person and a not as small person, and the not as small one takes the middle seat instead of the window seat, and the small one could take the it's tangent. We're going off topic here. But yeah, so that guy, not Greg. Greg was guarding it when I fell asleep. He kept his eye on it for me. But yeah, so I wouldn't do that just for that reason. And it doesn't bug me. I like when I look at, I very rarely am looking at a card in the slab and like even the slab itself, other than the PSA slabs where like a card's upside down or like coming through the side, that bugs me. But other than that, like it doesn't bug me. So your first question of it was on a list. So it was on my list. Greg and I do a video at the beginning of the year. We're like, hey, here are 3 tiers of goal cards. Like we have 3 tiers, a couple cards in each tier. It was one of my goal cards for the year. I just love the card. I picked up the Red Grange last year at Strongsville, and I loved that card. And then when I was flying for work, I don't know, maybe like 3-4 months ago, United has like a million movies you could watch. There's a Jim Thorpe documentary that they had, and I watched that. And I knew a lot about Thorpe, but I learned a lot more watching that. And I was like, I've got to have one of his cards. And I agree with you. It's his best looking card, I think, hands down. It's a beautiful set. And so I thought it'd be cool to have the Grange and the Thorpe. But I didn't go to Strongsville with that as a goal card. I had it as just a goal card to pick up at some point during the year. But at Strongsville, my buddy Don, who has probably one of the most incredible vintage football card collections out there, he saw me, and Don gets excited Orlando knows Don really well, so he could vouch if he's still on. Don gets really excited. So does Greg. Don gets so excited. So he's like, Darren, blah, blah, blah. What are we buying today, buddy? What are we going to find today? We got to find a vintage football card for him. I'm like, all right, I agree. Let's go look around. And then he looked around. We separated for a little bit, and then he came back and said, let's go. I found something. So he went over to Stan Locke's table, and he said, Stan, show Darren the Thorpe. And he's like, all right. And he like goes to pull it out of the case, and Don's like, not that one, the other one. I'm like, there we go. Thanks, Don. Then he pulled out the one that I picked up, and I loved it. So I'm like, yeah, I definitely want this. So we're trying to negotiate a deal, and he had it priced pretty fairly, but I still wanted to get a little bit more. And he wasn't budging too much. So first we tried could we get the Don and Darren combo discount? That didn't move the needle too much. So then I made a point to say, if you sell me this card for the price I'm asking, I will have bought the biggest card at the last 4 major shows I've gone to from you. And he said, okay. So took a while. I usually don't even negotiate that hard. I mean, he's like, yeah, it's close enough, right? But I was like, we're going to make this work. So got it from Stan. I didn't trade anything for it. It was part of my budget for Strongsville, which I guess technically was my February CIA auction payout from the cards I sold there. So I used that budget for Strongsville, but I didn't physically bring any cards to trade for it.
You don't have
it
handy, Darren, do you?
And I just enjoy looking at it. What, David?
It's not behind you, is it? You don't have it handy by any chance, so you could show it, do you?
No, it's in my Zion case.
Cool.
Ooh, he's a Zion case guy.
Fancy.
He's a Pelican case guy. Just kidding, Darren. Okay, well, and I just wanted to hear you guys kind of have that conversation because Joe has been talking about that Thorpe card for a while now, and it's a great card. So he was pumped that you got it.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I love it. I love it. I think it's such a good looking card, and I agree with you. The set is iconic, right? Because if you think about who's in the set, it's a multi-sport set. It's only kind of the best for the most part. It's kind of like the best players historically. It's from 1933, but a lot of the people that they have cards of in that set across all the different sports weren't necessarily the best players in 1933. I mean, Babe Ruth was, and he's got a card, but Ty Cobb's in there. Thorpe obviously was done playing sports professionally by 1933. And it's just such a cool set just because of the way it's a great design, and this the whole concept of let's pick a couple people from every sport and pick kind of the best people from those sports over the last 25-ish years.
And I don't know if you said it, but we're talking about the 33 Sport King set, right?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, 33 Sports King Thorpe. It's the one that's got the yellow background.
The Babe Diedrichson as well. It's really cool, and it's just I've perceived in my own searching and watch list and at shows that it's a card that's harder to locate, and when it pops up for anything close to a reasonable price, it quickly disappears. It kind of reminds me of David Chase's 48 leaf Dobie, the one that I wish I'd purchased because it was at full comps. And maybe even just a touch over full comps, and I was just like, I can't do it, but now I wish I had that, because that's a card you don't see it out on tables, you don't see it up in reasonable priced eBay auctions. It usually goes to an auction, and there's usually at this point a bidding war, unless you have a save search and are lucky enough to kind of wake up at just the right time, and it's like boom, smash the bin.
Right. No, I agree, and I that is one of the ones that I've been looking at it for a couple of years, and it keeps going up in price, and it was more than I'd initially anticipated paying for it when I first thought about picking it up. It's gone up a bit since then, but I recently, based off guidance from Greg, I switched from VCP to Card Ladder, and one of the things that I like about Card Ladder, that I actually have a point to this. I'm not going completely insane going off topic here. What I like about Card Ladder is for cards like that don't sell that often, like the card itself might sell often-ish, but for specific grades of the card, they don't necessarily sell very often at all. Card Ladder, obviously, it has an algorithm to estimate a price for a card versus like VCP just says, hey, this card's $640 or something, right? And you're like, really? Like, well, yeah, that was from like 2013 or 2015 or something. So I do like that with Card Ladder, the fact that it does that. And when I bought the card, I was hesitant for the price, but I paid it. But by the time I put it in the Card Ladder, it already said, hey, you're up on it. And I'm like, oh, okay. That always makes a bigger purchase seem easier, right?
Cool. All right. Well, Jim Thorpe card, everybody go check it out. It's definitely cool. We're gonna go back now to the sticker conversation. I got a treat for you guys as well. We're gonna share a little mini video that I forgot to do earlier. We're gonna do that as well. We're gonna bring Josh Adams on the screen. We're going 5-way here, guys. We're not letting Darren go, if that's okay. We're not letting David Chase go. Chris Ho just confirmed not joining us tonight. We're gonna bring Josh Adams on. You good, Josh? Yeah. Welcome, buddy. Hello.
Hi, guys. Hi, Darren. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
David. Hi.
Love you, Josh.
Joe, Jeremy, what's happening?
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. You're coming in. You've heard some of the sticker talk. You heard the Joe. First of all, your thoughts on the Jim Thorpe card?
Is it the 33 Sport Kings?
Yeah.
It's an awesome card.
Awesome card. Josh is a vintage guy. He knows it. He knows it. He loves it. Josh, before we get your thoughts on stickers, we're gonna do two things. Sundin in the chat asked for a poll, so we're gonna do a poll. Here's the poll. Type in 1, 2, or 3. Are stickers needed in the hobby? Try to answer this for the whole hobby, not just yourself. 1 for yes. This is you type a 1 or 2 or a 3 into the chat. Don't type yes, no. But 3 is you're just on the fence. You don't know. You don't have an opinion, whatever.
Needed, Jeremy. That's kind of like that's a tough way to say it.
Well, that was the question that was suggested from it's not my question. It's from Sundin in our chat, who asked me to do this. And I said, what's the question? And I just took his question. Yeah. So yeah. While you guys are answering, I'm going to read a couple more comments here. Desert Shield Sniper said another benefit to NBA stickers is to be a second opinion on the authentication. Just think about how many times PSA graded a card with questionable authenticity. That's a good point, Desert Shield Sniper. The other thing there, though, is that PSA does offer their insurance policy on those misauthenticated cards. So doesn't take away from what Desert Shield Sniper is saying here, but it is nice to know that you are insured when you have a real PSA slab with a fake card in it. David says, I'm actually interested, but I'm guessing the offer doesn't extend to me. If that was on my service that I'm thinking about, I don't know why it wouldn't extend to you, but I don't know if you're even talking to me at all there, David. So I don't know what you're talking about. Skeppy says, I would actually pay a premium for a Jay Lee sticker. There we go. Maybe this idea of mine has some legs. KK says, I'm getting a sticker. Sorry, is getting a sticker like asking for a manager? I love that. Desert Shield says, after reading your book, Jeremy, thank you for reading it, Desert Shield Sniper, I wanted to ask why PSA has not regraded the Gretzky, McNall, Wagner. In my opinion, this is why a second opinion exists. For flippers, the 10s are great, but for the PC, the grade is questionable. And why you'd have to ask PSA why they haven't done it yet. But I think that they have. My understanding is that they've offered to do it to the owner of the card, but he doesn't want it re-slabbed or the grade of 8 taken away and becoming unauthentic, or a trimmed or hand cut or whatever it would be. But I think that's a legitimate concern and question. And if I was at the helm at PSA, I would decertify it anyway, because they've decertified other cards for, I think, similar reasons. I could be wrong on that. Josh, you want to jump in?
Yeah. Bill Maestro admitted under oath that that card is trimmed. So they'd have a whole bunch of problems if they decided to either re-slab it or however they'd want to regrade it. So that's probably a hot potato they're willing to kick down the road.
After the person that has it now purchased it, PSA, after that happened, was going to refund them the entire amount of money that he paid for it.
What do you pay for it?
To get the card back, David?
I don't know if it was to get the card back. It might have been.
They're not. When they issue an insurance settlement to someone who makes a claim for under their guarantee, they get the card back. They don't let you keep the card. So
then it must have been. And I'm embarrassed to say where I saw this, but I think I saw this on Jeff Wilson's show when he interviewed him.
No, but that was a great episode.
It was a great interview. It really was. It was great to see him and his collection. But he mentioned that during that literally right after he said that in court, PSA reached out and was offering to give them compensation. I don't know if that was discussed.
But they should decertify it. That's what I think they should do. Now, they could say that if anyone from PSA is listening, watching, let me know why it shouldn't be decertified, because maybe there's a reason. Yes,
I'd really comment. Who was the grader at PSA at the time that card was slabbed?
It wasn't Mike Baker. Mike Baker, I just heard him talk on, which I know you were getting to, Gordy Bonker's show, and he was that was graded prior to him coming on board.
See, I have a different recollection, David, because Mike Baker's been on this show a couple years ago, I think, and I believe that he was there. I thought he told me he was. I'd have to go back and watch. So maybe I'm.
So there's a Gordy Bonker show that just was released this week where he interviews Mike Baker, and Mike Baker was there for all 10 of the 52 mantles, but that card was a marketing ploy, and they made that number one. Even though there was a grade score prior to that. And it wasn't number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was graded by a committee prior to Mike Baker getting there. He stated that on that show.
So just so people know that it has the serial number one, but it is not the first card graded by PSA. That is an old wives' tale sort of thing. Okay. And then KK says, going back to my training wheels comment, it was meant in the vein of training wheels for some collectors. Not everyone is at Jeremy's or Petty's level in understanding grading, but they want to buy. I get it now, KK. And yes, then I do think that it somewhat could be training wheels, but again, it's a different set of standards, right? It depends what you care about. Do you care about technical grade or do you care about eye appeal? Because they are not the same thing. And welcome to For the Game 2016 to the show. Wow, 62 comments since I've looked at comments, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get through them all or look at them all myself. But in any event, the poll is at 9% say yes, stickers are needed. 73% say they are not needed, and 18% of people are on the fence. So take that for what it is. Now, meanwhile, Mike Baker's business is doing okay. I assume, but I don't know for sure. Let's take a little reset. Darren, you want to stick around? You're welcome to stick around, even though we're past your scheduled time. You're welcome to stick around. So are you, David Chase, past your scheduled time. That's all good. I'm happy to go 5-way here tonight, guys. Don't take that out of context. Now, why don't we take a little break? I have a treat for you. My good friend, your good friend. I'm ending the poll now. It's done. We're getting rid of that. Thank you, Sundin, for the idea. I'm going to share a video with you guys. It is this is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. But this is I'm just going to put it on the stage. We're going to play it. I hope you guys enjoy this. And we'll see you back here in 3 minutes. If anyone needs to go to the bathroom, now is the time. Let's hit play.
This is David Chase, and this is Strongsville 2026. All right. It's now 11:30 Thursday night before the show starts. We are here. We're taking over the lobby. We've been told to be quiet many times. Look at these superstars that are here. We're the superstars. Look at this crew right here. Greg's going to bed, 11:30. We're at the show. Today's Friday morning. We're about to go in. Are we going to go hunting, guys?
Hunting, we go.
Strongsville, here we come. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. Vintage. Mod. Vintage. Mod. Old people. Young. After trying to hunt this for 2 years, it's gone. Letting her go. We had a good run. Time for you to find a new daddy. I'm getting cash, and then I'm picking up these 3 little guys here. I can never find centered of those. First day of Strongsville, baby. All right, so we went to Strongsville, we go to the show, and then all these YouTubers, they want to leave, they want to go to lunch. 2 hours is more than enough for them because they have to take pictures with all the fans. So sometimes they just need a break. So what do? We go to Red Robin. All right. Look at this crew right here.
It's a good group.
Now we're going back to Strongsville to go spend more money. All right, about to go to the YouTube get together. It's Friday night. I think there's going to be all the YouTube stars there, all of the rock stars that are on the channels, signing autographs, kissing babies, and I am ready and dressed to impress. Is this the biggest card you've ever bought?
I traded everything I have.
So this is literally 1% of your collection is this that you traded
95%.
for one card.
It's worth it.
All right, let's see what it is. Oh, let me see that. Let me see that. Holy smokes. Greatest card in all of sports cards right there. How does it feel? How does it feel?
Like $1 million. I'm so excited.
1 mantle, 2 mantles, 3 mantles, 4 mantles, 5 mantles, 6 mantles, 7 mantles, 8 mantles, 9 mantles, 10 mantles. We're not even going to talk about these. I walked through the show and I see the ghost of Joe DiMaggio. No black ink. What am I getting rid of him for it?
Another Joe DiMaggio, 41, and
Am I a psychopath? I bet 99% of people think that I'm crazy. I'm getting a little bit of cash on top, but that's how crazy I love this card. Finished taping Sports Card Live Saturday night. Ended at around 1:30. Went to bed around 2:20. Meeting Mike Petty downstairs at 5. Strongsville's over. It was a blast. Can't wait for next year. Jeremy, you're in for next year. No excuses.
David, that was awesome. That was so much fun. Thanks for putting that together. Well, thanks for taking the footage. You did some editing. I did some further editing. We got it down to 3 minutes, 20 seconds. That was fun, buddy. You did a great job.
The only thing missing was Darren's pancake eating.
It's true. And the burrito dinner. I forgot to take it at the burrito dinner, Darren.
Yes.
That's my fault. Man. National. I'll have to do another one for the
As an
national.
accident. I misread the description of what I ordered.
Well, the chat loved the video. So yeah, lots of great feedback on the chat. It was fun watching you, David, watching the video back, just getting a good laugh from it. But yeah, that was a ton of fun. I wish I was there, and I will definitely try to get there next year for sure. And I've seen, watching some videos come out of there, people who were, maybe questioning whether they, because of the changes that were happening this year at Strongsville, whether they wanted to still go, whether they think they would go back again. I think it was Mike Junkwack's Hero was saying that, he's for sure going back because it was a gathering of just a bunch of great people, great friends. It was a great time and very inspiring for me to want to go back. But the Petty shirt, the Petty crew, how do I get a Petty shirt like that? I need one of those. That will come into the rotation for sure. So
That's a wonderful one.
Yep, good stuff right there. All right, what do we want? What are we going to talk about next? I'm just trying to look at my list here of topics because we had speaking of Strongsville and people by the name of Mike, another authentication kind of issue came out of Strongsville where Mike from the Baseball Collector YouTube channel bought a bunch of IP autos raw and showed them on his video. I watched that video like in real time that night. And then he releases another video the next day saying that, well, I got feedback on my video. Some of those autos didn't look good. And that he was a little bit concerned. He's like, I thought I had a good eye for this stuff, but so I'm going to take some of these autos tomorrow. Or I took some of those autos today back to the show, took them to JSA to let JSA take a look at them. And a whole bunch of them came back as not real. They did not pass authentication. And he was pretty distraught. Mike was not that he lost money, but he was almost like embarrassed that he fell for it, sort of thing, and that he spent money on cards that weren't autographs that weren't real. And as I'm watching these videos, and I sent Mike a text, I said, thanks for the videos from Strongsville, first of all, but also like, who's to say that anybody knows if they're real or not? Like, I don't know. The whole autograph authentication game is very questionable to me. It's very, I don't know that I really believe any authenticator, not that they're going to get it wrong 100% of the time. No, but signatures change, and it comes down to what they have as they rely on their exemplars. That's what they rely on. Everything's compared against the example, the real example of the autograph. And then when it's a subject who has changed their autograph over the years, and many of them have, autographs aren't consistent, then they add to their exemplar database. They add many examples from 1990 until 1995. He signed like this. 95 till 2000, he signed like that. Who's to say that he didn't sign another way at some point in time? I sign my name a lot, and it's different all the time. And sometimes you experiment with it. Like, I just don't know that I put much faith into any autograph authentication service. So my comment to him, as he's ripping up cards, which, I mean, whatever, they're not like, he can find good autos for $15 again. That was great showmanship. But as he's ripping them, I'm like, who's to say that person's right, that they're not real? Maybe you're ripping up actual real autograph cards. He'll never know though, because he didn't see them. So personally, as far as IP autos go, unless I'm sending them to the athlete themselves, and even then it's not always guaranteed, or I'm witnessing it get autoed, maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't collect IP autos. And I don't, for the most part. I have 4 in my collection. But that's a big thing. And it's an important issue, I believe. So I think, David, I saw your hand kind of go up. What are your thoughts?
I was scratching my nose, Jeremy, but I'll still talk on it. All right, this is like a PSA. This is one man's opinion. Okay, before everybody hates me, Tony, turn off the TV, the chat if you're ever going to be watching this again, because I'm sorry that I'm going to have to talk about this in a way for autographs. I think that autographs are very scary, very, very scary. Just be spending a lot of money on autographs. It's one thing when you went to the ballpark and you went to go get your favorite player to sign something, and it means something to you because it's a memory. But for you to be spending crazy amounts of money on an autograph card, which increases the value by sometimes 1,000 times on what that card is very, very scary. And I think that the graders don't know how to tell. We've already had busts of some of these huge autograph rings that we've seen thousands, literally thousands of slabs that are right now have autographs that are completely fake. And these vintage ones that people are buying for crazy, a 48 leaf Jackie, let's call it a low grade, can sell for $7,000. If that's signed, it's $1 million card in any condition. And you're telling me that even if it's not fake, the one that's out there now, that technology these days are not going to have an auto pen that can have a ballpoint pen that shows an autograph on there? I would not be surprised in the future if we cannot tell fake from real with technology advancing. I am very scared for people that put a lot of money in autographs.
You know, it's like, but all that matters though is if the public buys into it, and the public does, just like with grading, just like with grading, public buys into it. That's all that really matters. It does. It's like, I've got a lot of patch cards in my collection. I'm sure some of them have been repatched. I'll never know unless the repatcher comes and tells me. So, if you're never going to know, you just can't.
And one last thing I forgot to say. How crazy is it that the PSA guarantee does not include autographs? Because that's them telling you they don't know.
Well, I don't think it's crazy. I think it's actually, it tells you something, but it's also them telling you that we're not willing to guarantee those because, well, we might not even know. And there is a recognized sort of hierarchy of who the best autograph authenticators in the hobby are. And I don't believe that they work at PSA. I think that they worked at Beckett at one. They think they did work at PSA and went over to Beckett. And that's what the hobby believes, or those in the know actually believe. So it really doesn't matter if it's like how many fake cards get through PSA slabs. Well, not a humongous percentage, but enough that people know about it. How many fake autos get past the big autograph authenticators? More than zero, that's for sure. But again, it only matters if people care. And then if people believe it, and then even if you believe the authenticator, you're still taking a bit of a leap of faith that they are correct, because we know that they reject good autos on a regular basis too. But they don't say they're fake. They just say that they are. Well, I don't know if they say they're fake. Sometimes they probably do. Sometimes they say we're just not willing to authenticate it. And I think that's a great move by them. If you're not, don't authenticate it if you don't know, and don't pretend to know. So I'm glad that grading companies reject them, even if they're real. But that right there tells you that they are not bulletproof, not even close. Josh.
I had this issue come up like 2 weeks ago. Handwriting experts are inherently unreliable because there is no numerical data to standardize their opinion. Unlike, I think fingerprints unreliable also, but like DNA or like any other sort of standardized test to prove something, autographs and signatures are inherently subjective. They, like you said, they change all the time. So, and just like PSA, an autograph authenticator is giving their opinion, not any sort of expert fact. In fact, there's an American board. I think it's called like American Board of Signatures or Forgery or Authentication. That most, and also the best signature authenticators work for the FBI, not for some guy that sits up at a card show. So I just think generally, I agree with David. I'm terrified to buy a Jackie Robinson autograph card from 1949. And also, like, personally, those cards all of a sudden started showing up like 6 years ago. Like, where were they for the past 30 years?
One question on that, Josh, is that, like, are autograph authenticators only authenticating the shape, the movement of the pen over the card when it was signed, or are they also able to authenticate like the age of the ink or anything like that? Might be like, are they ink experts? Are they paper experts? Or are they just autograph experts?
So that's a separate those are two separate things. So there's a forensic expert can test the ink and the age of the ink through scientific data, right? I have a funny story about that. I'll tell you after this. But also they're authenticating whether the signature is of that person. Like, it comes up in a will, on a forgery for a check or something like that, or some sort of document signed, whether that is an authentic signature. So I think it'd be the same standard for a baseball card. Is that signature of that person that signed it, not of Joe Schmo?
Right. Now, I want to bring up a comment just came in from Dan Dave, because it speaks to what you were talking about, Josh. Like, where were they? He says in the 1980s, single-signed baseballs became popular. Lots of them started showing up. Now, I don't know if Dan Dave is saying that they started showing up as forged, or if they're saying, well, they're popular, more people are now going to sell them. So as Jackie Robinson autos become more valuable, and we're having fines all the time, more of them are, it's now maybe we should grade. Hey, that, Ken Golden found that Honus Wagner a year ago. I mean, like, things are still being found. There are still fines happening.
But there's in the PSA population, there's one signed 48 Leaf Babe Ruth card. Josh, why is that crazy?
There's been one signed Babe Ruth card.
Oh, I know.
For the Leaf. Yes, Darren?
He's dead.
Yeah, he was dead at the time it came out. Right.
Yeah.
And there's one in the population for a signed 48 Leaf Ruth
go.
card. What does that say?
But Josh, what do you think? Like, do you your facial expression when I was talking about the the fact that there are still fines happening? And the Wagner that was found, like, what are you thinking there?
No, it was. I will hold my tongue on that one. But I just think I agree with you though that there are definitely there's so much stuff that people have not uncovered, for decades. You hear about guy had a shop in the 50s or 60s and went out, has been in his attic for 40 years. Mr. Mint made a living finding stuff in the 80s and 70s and picking stuff up that was like forgotten. So yeah, no, absolutely. I think sometimes it can be too cynical for my own good, but I do think that there are stuff that's like still hidden and in people's closets, in their homes that, their grandparents have, or someone, had in their family, and they're seeing the light of day because they are very expensive now. And it's, it makes financial sense to sell them.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, there have to be some out there and they're worth a lot of money. So they're going to come to the top. They're just going to. And that's why provenance is so important when like our buddy Tony has some of these Jackie Robinson autographed vintage cards. The provenance, like investigating where'd you get it from? Where'd he get it from? Trying to go back in time and find, like, not that you're going to go right back to the person who signed it. Maybe you will. I know that Maddie C owns a 52 Tops mantle signed, and he got it from the person who pulled the card and had it signed. That's pretty cool. That's pretty good provenance to, at least get comfortable with it. So provenance, so important. Like, that's why buying from auction houses, while you got a great selection, oftentimes you can't get these questions answered. It can be very difficult, if not impossible sometimes. So I don't know. I don't have a suggestion here. I don't have a solution to it really, other than because sometimes you're going to hit a dead end pretty darn quickly because people don't know where they got it from. It might be authenticated, but no one knows where it came from. And that doesn't mean it's not real. It just means that just because JSA or Beckett Authentication Services or PSA DNA puts their, or whatever they call it now, puts it in their slab or authenticates it, I just don't know that I believe it 100%. But you don't have to believe it 100% because it doesn't really matter. The hobby's taken a leap of faith that these things are real and the value's there. And if the value matters, then it doesn't matter. Then it doesn't matter if it's real or not. So anyone have any thoughts on this? Go ahead, Josh. Joe, we'll go to you after. Josh.
I'll see the Florida Joe. I talked too much already. I'll give it to Joe.
Oh no, I mean I kind of concur with David. You have to have a certain kind of appetite. I think I got out of a few of my IP slabbed autos, and I've been burned on from 10, 15 years back. Nothing crazy. I mean, because the prices were modest. So I definitely have some, play with fire, caution around that. There are some though that will appeal to me, like, Greg's Brooks Robinson, like, that just has, like, you can use a little bit of practical wisdom around, like, is that likely to be a forged, with a ballpoint pen and a 57 Brooks? I mean, it has, I think some are more susceptible and kind of, send concern waves through my body when I see them. Others are like, yeah, that looks, I have no situation, but yeah, it is a gamble. And personally, like, I do think that there are a number of, Willie Mays slabbed authentic autos out there. And I had a few of them and I wasn't sure. And so I'm now just moving in the direction for those older cards into more certified autos.
It's a gamble and a leap of faith. I would say, just to augment that or add to it just a little bit. Darren, you got anything?
I mean, I don't collect autographed vintage cards. I think the only one I've ever seen that I would ever have an interest in buying, I just won't be able to afford it, is there. I've seen a green T206 Cobb signed by Cobb in gold pen, which looked pretty sweet. But yeah, I don't think that'll ever be in my price range. So I don't think I'll ever buy one. I hope that they're real. I know that, my buddy Tony's been picking up a lot of them, and I really hope that the ones that he's getting are legitimate. But like you said, he does try to figure out the provenance on them the best he can. I just, when people spend a lot of money on stuff, you just really hope that it's legitimate, which hopefully it is.
Josh, you were going to go. David, if you have anything to let me know. But Josh, back to you now, please.
So Sid Luckman from the the last good quarterback the Bears had before Caleb. His secretary was notorious for signing every single thing that he had, his correspondence, his checks. There's a fake Sid Luckman autograph in the Football Hall of Fame. So if they can't even tell, it's hard to authenticate signatures.
Absolutely. Go ahead, David.
One more thing about what you when you brought up the subject, Jeremy, what you were saying, when somebody signs a lot of autographs, right? And especially ball players who are doing it at the stadium, sometimes it's the one that we all dream about where it's like, hey, what's your name, little Johnny? And like takes the time to do it. But it's also a lot of times they're walking very quickly and scribbling it as they're walking by, right? I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to tell that autograph, just like when I'm writing if I'm signing a check for my bill at a restaurant compared to a legal document, my autograph looks completely different, right? So again, it's just one of these things where I'm scared. I'm scared for people that are spending a lot of money on them. And I'm sorry to say that because I know that there's a lot of people that love it. And it's really just a PSA to say, I'm looking out in the future for people by giving that warning, because I do feel like crooks and criminals are going to find an easier and better way to make money off of these things. And that's what scares me.
Right. It's scary, but it's also like, again, I come back. It's a leap of faith. And if the hobby just accepts it and we want to accept it because we want these things to exist, and likely many of them are real. I mean, it's probably more likely they are than aren't. I don't know. Maybe I take that back. I don't know. Darren, did you want to say something, or that was just like, No,
I was agreeing with you. It's just really hard to tell.
Yeah, agreed. Couple comments. The card deal said, if the card deal is still here, I tried to understand what this comment is saying. I don't really understand the comment. Does anyone it says people think those plastic raised borders on a PSA slab move ... because there are big dollar cards with the taper trim job. So obvious, but people buy them up. I don't understand this comment.
Is he referencing how like you'll see cards, because he mentions the trim job. Sometimes you'll see a card in the PSA slab and it does like the same card will be in the slab and it fits well, and another card will be like kind of loose. So people sometimes will assume, oh, well, it doesn't fit as perfect as the other one, so it's trim. But sometimes it's just the slab itself is a slightly different size.
Or another thing that he might be saying, I love how we're just trying to just decipher this.
What do you mean?
But one thing that I'm thinking is just because it's in a slab doesn't mean you can trust it, right? There's a lot of trim cards that are in slabs right now also.
That's true.
So just because it's in a slab doesn't mean that it's 100% not trimmed or a correct signature.
Yeah, well, that's all. Okay, well, let's see if he gets back to us and just clarifies himself. Situational says, is PSA insurance to cover the autograph too? No, it does not. Situational, that just came up a few minutes ago. Shaheen here says, I've had plenty of through the mail and in-person autographs over the years get rejected by JSA, SGC back in the day, and PSA. So, that does not surprising. David Snyder, thank you very much for the contribution, David. And the support says, Josh, do you think PSA will update their app to allow for the crossover function, future PSA Dallas office? Do you have any thoughts on this, Josh?
You're asking the absolute wrong guy. I don't know what this question means. I'm sorry.
Update their app to allow. I don't know either, Dave Snyder.
It was a $5 question, Josh. I mean, just try to answer it.
That's more than I make in my legal career, so I should try to figure a competent.
I can answer it.
Dave with a second supportive contribution says, Jeremy, will you be at the next West Coast Card Show? Any truth on the 1989 Fleer documentary? I can't guarantee that I will be at the next West Coast Card Show, but I will try. I had a great time there. But I don't know for sure, David. Is that the one in August or early September? But July. I'm not sure.
July.
I'll tell you the problem with that. It's like a week or two before the national. That's the only time they could book.
Oh, it's the same time as Fanatics Fest as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
weekend.
And Dallas is the same weekend also. It's a weird time because that was the only time they could book the Anaheim Convention Center.
So, David, no, I will not be at that show in the middle of July. But if you're going to be there, and I could have met you, I would have loved to make it. But hopefully another time. And I have no information on the 1989 Fleer documentary. That I think is the first time I've heard of it in your comment right there. So, thank you for the contributions. I apologize for the lack of being able to answer them, though. So, okay. Anything else from anybody? We are going to end this show on time tonight, so we got 10 minutes left. Let's see. We've had Darren and David on for a while. Joe, you've been joining the conference. Anything else on your mind, Joe, that you want to talk about? I'll also go to the chat and see if there's anything from the chat. Josh, anything else you wanted to talk about? If either of you have something, okay, Josh, go ahead.
I'm just saying, I'm going to see you in 2 weeks. I'm very excited for the Toronto show. Can't wait.
Toronto show is April 30th till May the 3rd. I can't wait, Josh. I have 2 booths for the first time, and so we got lots of room now at my booth at Sport Card Expo. Very excited. We're gonna have some special guests hanging out. It's gonna be great. Lots of great cards for sale. Gonna be buying, selling, trading. Can't wait. Joe Perreault.
This may not be something we can talk about in 8.5 minutes, but Jay Lee, you and I were talking about this the other day, kind of like, the combination of a frothy market where, new comps are being set by the day and auctions can't be won without, mega bids, and, an awareness of like, where does that just bull market and confidence begin, and where does potentially market manipulation enter into that? And that, not so much, maybe a little bit in the vintage world, but I'm thinking a little bit more in the high-end basketball, the high-end baseball, the star
Hockey,
Jordan
even
cards, hockey. So I just throw that out there to the panel, like, if you had to sort of calibrate right now your own sense of, what's real, and if you're only in your own lane, I mean, you can certainly answer it from that perspective, but I'm kind of thinking more widely in the hobby. If you have any thoughts on that.
I like this as a closing discussion. We'll kind of go around the horn here and get everybody's thoughts on it. So my thought really is that, I've lived through several cycles in the hobby, and, including the famous one of the early 90s, the junk wax era, the crash after that led to some of the best cards ever. And every time the market has rebounded, I have thought to myself, it's different this time. It's going to stay. We saw it during the pandemic. I'm like, it's different this time. The floor has risen. It might not stay up here, but at least the foundation is larger, more sturdy. If 1,000 new people came into the hobby during the pandemic, and then all of a sudden people go back to work and they're traveling again, they're going out to restaurants again, maybe 900 forget about the hobby, but we are still bigger from that 100 people that stayed in the hobby. There's still more people in the hobby after the pandemic or during the pandemic than before the pandemic. But cards came down in value again, and I thought, okay, so maybe I was a bit right, but I was probably wrong more than I was right in where I thought the hobby was, like at the height of the pandemic when we saw all-time highs. Then what happened? Cards, we move backwards a little bit, and now here we are a few years later. We're well past the pandemic in many cards, right? The cards are at an all-time high, and now I think to myself, I need to learn from the past. I need to say, okay, this is temporary again. But then I think to myself, maybe it's different this time. And so why? Why do I think that? Well, it's a different era of the hobby. We're in the fanatics era of the hobby now when it comes to basketball, baseball, football. And is that going to make a difference? Will Michael Rubin's 10xing the hobby, which I just use, whether he meant that literally or not, doesn't matter. But that's kind of, the motivation there, or the sort of speaks to the motivation, I suppose. And then, so I think to myself, it is different this time, but will it still cycle the same way it always has? I do think long-term it will. However, I'm more bullish on the hobby now than I think I've ever been. And the reason is, well, a couple things, but sports cars are cool again, as I think Josh Luber said a few years ago. First of all, I always thought they were cool. I collect cars. I don't care what you think. But just a couple of days ago, it was announced, and we mentioned earlier on the show, that, Lewis Hamilton has now partnered with Dave and Adam's Card World to open up a chain of stores internationally. This is, a year after it was announced that Tom Brady was partnering up with the Vault to open up a chain of card shops in the United States. And they've got like over 10 of them now or something. So I think the hobby, let me phrase this properly. I believe the potential is there for the hobby to grow again like we've never seen before. I think the potential is there that we may not even know what's coming in terms of participants and values and velocity of transactions. So I'll just stop there. And who wants to go next? Put up your hand if you have something ready to go on the tip of your tongue. Darren, David, or Josh. If I see no hands, okay. I don't know who I saw first. We'll start with you, David.
Okay. I'll be fast. I know Jeremy needs to get out of here. I do think that the frothiness of everything, I think in the long term, in like 20 years, I think we're good, right? I think in the very short term, I could see there being some bumps along the way. I think that the vintage iconic cards are probably less frothy, even though they've had a big run up. But I still think that those are going to be coveted cards for a very long time. But I think that the current player cards for the ultra modern and the manufactured scarcity cards, where there's 17 different one-of-ones in a set, I think those have a little bit of potential to be to have some issues if the market goes down. I think they're going to take the biggest hit.
Thank you, David. And I forgot to answer Joe's second thing, which was about market manipulation. And I think I said it to Joe the other day when we were talking privately, is that there's going to be more market manipulation now than ever. I mean, as more people come in, we're getting we're getting good people, but we're also getting whatever that percentage of bad people, bad actors who are. So yeah, there's going to be more market manipulation than ever, but will it be the same per capita that it was, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? I don't know. Might be a bit higher because the dollars are so much higher now as well. I want to address that. Josh, let's go to you.
I think this is temporary. Like, this happens all the time. Stuff goes up. Gravity's a real thing. It's going to come back down. There's no reason a card goes up 300% in 8 months and that's going to stay that way, or anyone expects it to stay that way. I think that's unrealistic. I don't talk about the modern stuff. I mean, like, some Jordan stuff has gone up in an insane amount of money that makes no sense based on that same card has existed for 25, 30 years. All of a sudden in 8 months, it like goes up 400% is crazy to me. I think it's going to come back down, which I would love because I need to buy some stuff. I know I say this, no one believes me. I really don't care if my cards go up, because once I buy something, I forget what it's like. I don't look at the price anymore. I just, put it in my case or play with it or whatever. But I think it's going to come back down. But I think they said long term, we're fine. This hobby's been around for over 120 years. We're not going anywhere. But I think with the advent of social media, it makes a lot of this stuff just seem like it's louder and more out there.
Yeah, I think the social media gives a lot of people incentive to collect, because it gives them it facilitates the same thing that for many people driving, a fancy sports car or fancy German vehicle allows you to do as well, right? It's a bit of a flex, a bit of a brag. And when you have a following on social media, whatever it is, 10 people to 25, 250,000, it facilitates that. And a lot of people like to show off their wealth. So it's like a perfect storm in many ways. And, you said there's gravity, what goes up must come down. I believe that too, Josh. I just wonder how long that cycle will be this time, because of things like Tom Brady, Lewis Hamilton, Mr. Wonderful being out there wearing a card on the red carpet just attracts attention to the hobby. Josh, and then we'll go to Darren.
Can I reply to that? I don't think all attention is good attention. Just like not all money is good money. I don't think that those guys are positive for the hobby. I think it's actually a net negative. And so
we should get more thoughts on that next time, because I'm curious to dive into that a bit more. Darren, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I would say From my perspective, I primarily have been tracking cards I've been looking at that are kind of rarer pre-war stuff, a lot of it pre-World War One. And the trend I've seen, it's not with that stuff, it's not as up and down. It's just consistently going up, right? Like I've a lot of the stuff that I've been following, it doesn't have dips, right? Like they don't sell that often, and then when they do sell, it always sells for more than the previous sale. So I'm not seeing like huge jumps. I'm not seeing like 100, 200, 300% jumps unless they haven't sold in a really long time. But I'm seeing 25 to 50% increases year over year with a lot of this stuff, and I don't foresee it coming down, because if I did, I would just wait to buy it, but I'm probably not going to and buy it. And you know what? I rephrase. You know what's going to go down after I buy it?
Yeah. And what's going to go up? Whatever you sell, right?
Right when I'm buying it, it's going to hit a new peak, and as soon as I buy it, it'll reset like a week later.
Joe, why don't you? I think everyone's had their say here. Some comments in the chat, some great comments in the chat. The one I'll do is Brad's vintage, and he says, "I hope Jay Lee is wrong. I have a lot of cards I want to buy and do not want higher prices." I hope I'm wrong too, Brad. I hope I'm wrong too. And if you wait long enough, I think we can outwait this, Brad. It really depends on how old you are and how many more years you have. But I'm with you on that.
Brad's got a long time. He's good.
Yeah. Joe, you want to put a bow on the topic?
I mean, just, I know I do think it's a bull market. I do have a lot of faith in what's happening right now, but there's just been, our friend Brian over at Cajun Cardboard. I mean, he went through like 92 bell ringing moments in his latest basketball show review from the Fanatics. And it's just at a certain point, I think, we talk about essence of shill. I think everyone would do well to just, keep their spidey sense up, and believe some of what is out there, but maybe don't believe all of it in certain sectors.
Fair. Yeah. Anthony says, another great show, Jeremy. I am always learning something new. First time hearing about these stickers. Great chat room. It was a pleasure chatting with all you nice people. Happy collecting all. Anthony, you are a pleasure. Thank you so much. And Yankees fan says, great host, guests, and board again. Free entertainment. Thank you, Yankees fan. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this one up. Not back tomorrow night for the show. We'll be at the Stampede City Card Show tomorrow. We'll be back here next week for another episode of Sports Card Live on a Saturday night. I'll be at the Comic-Con in Calgary next week. Anybody have anything you want to mention where you'll be? You can find everybody on Instagram. You can find us here on YouTube. Darren's got his own great channel, Return to Collecting. I'm not going to let David Chase talk just yet. I'm going to talk as much as I can now and make him very frustrated until he forgets what he's going to say. David, go ahead, and then we're done.
All right, I have a one. It's funny, kind of little chill, but one quick thing for the panel that I've been waiting to say, and about Jeremy. When we were going to Strongsville, Jeremy sent a group text to like 6 different people, and he said a very nice thing. Hope you have a good time, a safe flight, all of these nice things. I responded to him, and I'm going to read exactly what I responded. Thanks, Jeremy. Talk to you Saturday night. Okay. Then everybody else responded too. He hearted every single response that anybody said, but thumbs up me. Okay. Should I take offense to this? Okay. If literally 6 responses he hearted and I got a thumbs up, Josh, should I take offense to that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a sign. Yeah.
Darren, would you take offense to that, Darren? And Joe? Okay, Jeremy, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah. I'm glad that you picked up what I was putting down. Yeah. I'm glad that you noticed that. Thank you. Okay, good.
David has a high level of emotional intelligence, I can tell.
Michael Rader, always a great show. Thanks, Jeremy. Thank you, Michael Rader, for being here. Double O's card guy. I will see you tomorrow. I will text you in the morning at some point between right around 8 a.m. or so. We'll see you tomorrow at the show. Thank you to the chat for joining us, guys. You can order my book, Pops and Comps, on Amazon, or hit me up directly if you want a signed copy. Go to hobbyspectrum.com, take the assessment, add your players, teams, and sports that you collect. Lots of good. That's going to get a lot better than it already is. Appreciate you all. to the panel. Thank you guys all so much. And here we are on April the 18th, 2026. This episode of Sports Cards Live is now
over.
That's you, Joe.
Over.
Josh? He's on mute. We'll go to Darren. Give us an over.
Over.
Josh.
Over. Go Bruins.
Everybody stay there. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the Sports Cards Live community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most of all, keep collecting. More great content to come. Sports Cards is a lifestyle.